a desk. They can occur for many, many different reasons. And the key features of them is that they're usually not disabling. People tend to function when they have these headaches. They do respond for the most part to over-the-counter medication, often to massage or physio treatments. And they're described as generalized headaches. So they're usually either in the front in a band-like distribution. They could involve the whole head. But they're not like the migraine where it's one-sided throbbing pain. These are more like putting a tight band on your head and squeezing it. They do not have nausea or vomiting. They're not really made worse with exertional activity like migraines are, and they don't have the sensitivity to light, noise, or smell. They can last for a very long time, so they're not the episodic nature necessarily that migraine is. They can go on for days or weeks at a time until the underlying cause is discovered. But most of the time, these things tend to get better unless there's sort of underlying issues like depression or, extreme stress in someone's life. So.
Yeah. Let's talk about, I know we haven't really gotten to treatments yet, but someone suggested for myself that maybe chiropractic treatments would help. I guess like massage, maybe. I'm always a bit nervous about the manipulation of my head and those muscles because I've seen some horror stories where people have been paralyzed because of manipulation of the neck and the spine and so tell me, is that something that is a recommended treatment for occipital nerve in particular or just headaches in general?
Well, you raised a very good point. Sometimes the results can be devastating, but there's a big controversy with chiropractor and neurological emergencies that can occur as a result of it. I will only say that I've been on the front end of experiencing this with patients I see in the ER, not at all common, and something that may occur as a result of some underlying cervical spine disease or arterial disease, for example, causing a dissection of the arteries. I personally don't recommend chiropractic treatments for the neck to patients just because we don't know. Absolutely don't in anyone over the age of 50 or 60 unless I've cleared their spine with radiology. And I don't have a problem with chiropractor for the lower back because it does help. I tend to be a little more conservative and I'll recommend massage therapy, possibly physio, or even osteopathic treatments. They're a little more gentle and you don't worry so much about the strong manipulation.
Wow. Okay. Great. So all headaches are not created equal. Apparently 150 different types of headaches. Wow.
Or more.
That's a lot.
Probably over 200 by now. Yeah.
Oh my God. Where do you even begin then? I mean, this sounds so crazy.
Yeah, I know. Well, it begins, because in neurology and particularly in headache medicine, most of the examinations are completely normal. And so we don't even have the benefit of saying, oh, you have a hard belly or you have a murmur in your heart, because with migraine in particular, up to 90% more of patients we examine are completely normal exams. So we don't always have the benefit of the findings on the examination. So with migraine, it's really in the history. With headache in general, it's really in the history that you take of these patients. So for example, you find out when the headache started. Does it come on acutely? Is it like a thunderclap headache that starts all of a sudden? Are there neurological symptoms like double vision or blurred vision or numbness or tingling that would lead us down perhaps a different road than migraine if it's not a migraine aura? So I'm going to say that 90% of the time your diagnosis is made based on the history alone. So it has to be very carefully taken in patients when you see them for headache.
Some causes here. I was a bit surprised by this. Primary headaches can be triggered by everything from lifestyle factors such as hunger, poor posture, a lack of sleep, nicotine, and alcohol consumption. How does nicotine and alcohol consumption add to this? That sounds kind of crazy.
So I'm going to focus on migraine because these are all educational things that we talk to patients about in terms of lifestyle, but you can take that from migraine into patients who have tension headaches as well. We definitely spend a lot of time on lifestyle when we talk to patients, and I always say there are three arms to the treatment. I might as well cover this briefly here, but we talk about lifestyle, and nutraceuticals, for example. We talk about what to take when they get the headache, so what we call acute or abortive treatment, and then we decide whether they need a daily preventative medication. So getting to lifestyle and looking at the causes that you've mentioned, that will occur in someone who has a predisposition to migraine. So, for example, if you didn't sleep one night and you don't have migraine, you may not get a headache. Whereas the migraine brain is very sensitive to any change in routine. So that if, for
Mhm.
example, patients who have migraine will say, I always get my migraine on Saturday morning or Friday night. Why is that?
Mhm.
I'm relaxed. Well, it's the stress release. That's one
Mhm.
factor. The other factor is, you're sleeping in, so you've changed your routine. You may have extra coffee, which could trigger a headache. You may have bacon, which could be a migraine trigger as well. And you may have orange juice, citrus fruits a trigger. So all these factors are the things that we evaluate in someone who says, I have a Saturday morning headache. Why is that? It's the
Mhm.
same thing as having headache the first few days of your vacation. So, as I said, getting back to the migraine brain, it's very sensitive to any kind of change, disruption, or break in routine. People who have extra coffee on the weekend may get a headache because of that. And coffee is a little bit of a confusing factor because too much coffee can trigger headaches. But yet, we tell patients when they start to get a migraine, have a cup of caffeine, whether it's coffee or tea or a little bit of a Coke, because the caffeine sometimes helps with the absorption of the drugs and
Mhm.
actually resets the whole headache, and it may take the headache away.
Hmm. Okay. Wow. So you got to really listen to your body and pay attention.
Yeah.
And you're talking about triggers. So when patients come into you, they need to have information to give you, right? You can't just diagnose this without them telling you kind of what's going on.
Very useful. And what I do here in Hamilton is we will often send out a list of things for them to look at before their appointment. They, even and when I speak to family doctors in town and who are making the referrals, I often say would really be helpful to have them keep a diary before they come in. And you don't need exhaustive information. There are apps on phones. There's one that's in Canada called the Migraine Tracker. It's free. There's another one called Migraine Buddy, but you can also go to headache websites where they have migraine diaries that you can download. And really, the most important thing is to comment on the frequency of your headaches, grading them on a scale of 0 to 3, 3 being the most severe, associations with your menstrual cycle. So we ask them to track the menstrual cycle. And what
Mhm.
did you take to treat the headache? But how often are you taking it? And how quickly is that medication working for you? So those are the key things. In addition to that, I ask patients to look at when they get a headache, for example, think back 12 hours to everything you ate or drank. What was the weather like? Particularly here in Ontario, it's been terrible. Today we have 40 degrees. It's probably warmer than Cayman. Very high humidity, changes in barometric pressure. So note those on the diary. Note what you had to eat and compare it to the food trigger list that I'm giving you. And then start to eliminate one by one the things that seem to be a recurring pattern.
Mhm. Right. And because you mentioned tracking a woman's cycle, someone's asking the next logical questions. Do headaches affect men and women differently? And are there different triggers as well for the two sexes, like hormonal, I would think?
Yeah, so first of all, they definitely affect men and women different. In the childhood years before women hit puberty, little boys are affected more often than little girls. But then once puberty hits, the women are affected 2 to 3 times more than men are. And
Wow.
you're quite right about a hormonal pattern, because migraines can start with puberty. They can get worse during menstrual cycles and ovulation. Pregnancy will affect migraines in a positive or negative way. And overall, just briefly, the numbers, a woman who has migraines, 70% of women actually get better during pregnancy. And then the headaches come back after she stops breastfeeding. But there's that 30% that get much, much worse, and then in the last trimester may get pregnant. And then if you're like me, both my pregnancies, every single day, 9 out of 10 in intensity, vomiting in the sink while I'm seeing patients. So not a
Oh my
fun thing.
goodness.
So, the pregnancy can affect it in one of 3 ways. The most common and reassuring, though, is that they do get better in most women. But we can
Mhm.
treat them. There are some medications, not many, that we can give patients when they're pregnant, when they're breastfeeding, and they've been approved by places like Toxnet, previously known as Mother Risk.
Very good. Someone's asking how much of a change in barometric pressure cause issues?
So this is off very controversial. We have no evidence, by the way. There's no science behind this. It's really
Mhm.
anecdotal experience. So I
Mhm.
can't give you numbers. I can't tell you what percentage of people. All I can tell you is that they've looked at two places. One of them was in Calgary, where they have the Chinooks and the changes in weather, and I think the second one, the most recent, was in the northeastern states, where they get changes in barometric pressure. It's not so much the change in terms of number, but it's the rate of change. So if it suddenly drops, that may be, you may be more likely to get a headache. But again, there's no science behind it at all.
I guess that's like people who, during certain weather, their arthritis, they're like, yeah, I can feel the rain coming because my knee.
Absolutely.
Yes, my knee is the best weather, teller in the world. I don't need a working radar.
Yeah, for sure.
So within migraines, 10 to 20 different sub-classifications as well. How does getting a proper classification really help? Does it matter? I mean, isn't a migraine? Does it matter if it's like one of the sub-classifications or not? Or treatment options and different depending on the type of classification?
Well, there's no studies to say that, for example, migraine with aura, we treat it differently. So in other words, they haven't done any clinical trials. So we basically look at the same medications. There may be medications we avoid in someone who has very severe prolonged aura, simply because with aura, you get neurological symptoms, whether it's visual, whether it's numbness or tingling. So in that group of patients, the theory is that there may be lack of blood flow, although it's, again, very controversial, but we may avoid some medications like the triptans, for example, because theoretically it could potentially make that worse. So that's one thing that will differ in treatment. The other thing is if patients have post-traumatic headache with features of migraine, they may benefit from something like gabapentin. It's a medication that is used to treat pain, but there's also some evidence that it might work in migraine. And for example, I would choose that because they often have neck issues as well. And so it's a general good pain medication. But for the most part, we really treat based on the symptoms, and most of the preventatives will be used for all of the other subtypes of migraine. And there's no studies to say this one is better than that one. It's really based on experience. So if we have a chat between headache specialists across Canada and I have a patient who has a very unusual aura, I may hear from a couple of my colleagues that say, oh, I used Lamictal or lamotrigine for that and I did well. Or even if you go to the headache journals, there will be anecdotal experience or a group of cases that responded to this medication, but not very many clinical trials.
Interesting. All right. Amori has a question. She says, may I ask, have you ever had a patient that you tried everything with and they still have the tension headaches? What then do you do for that patient?
So it raises a good point that very often it's not just migraine. And when migraines become chronic, meaning 15 headache days a month, very often those are much, much more challenging to treat. And you'll find that migraines may occur 8, 9, 10 days out of the month, but the rest of the headaches may be a tension type headache. They may be cervicogenic, meaning neck related. And so, we may approach it in a couple of ways. Very often it's multidisciplinary. So I will treat with medication, lifestyle, vitamins, etc. But I may also bring in massage therapy or osteopathic treatments or something else, or vestibular therapy if they have vertigo, for example. So very often those complicated cases, they don't just get a prescription, they may get a referral. One of the common things is when someone has chronic migraine and they have true migraine, but it has become chronic over the years, these patients will very often have occipital neuralgia like you do. And so then I would bring in the nerve blocks in addition to treatment for the migraines.
Very good questions here, folks. Don't forget, you can call in as well, 936-2626. So Amari, perhaps make that appointment on the 27th and see what else. There might be something that you haven't tried. You might have thought you tried everything, and Dr. Rose might make a recommendation.
So just on that theme, there are so many new therapies out there that when we think you've tried everything, sometimes we do combinations of treatment. Sometimes we may try something like Botox plus a medication. And then there's a whole new group of medications that have come out in the last 3 or 4 years, some of which you have in Cayman as well. They're the injectables, for example, where patients give themselves an injection once a month as a preventative treatment that work extremely well in migraine.
Very good. Okay, Live Happy says, often I wake up with migraines in hotel rooms. Some seem to give me a headache because the rooms are airtight and can lack sufficient oxygen while I sleep. Could that be the cause?
Absolutely, but also take into account your pillow's different, the mattress is different, whether or not you've just come off a flight could affect it as well, and the food may be completely different than what you're used to. So you have to look at every part of your day and think, okay, what's changed? Which brings me to another point where there's very often not one single trigger. Like, for example, I'll have a patient say, I have red wine, and most of the time I have it, I'm fine, but there's sometimes that it really triggers a bad headache. Well, a couple of questions I ask are, what kind of wine was it? Because it does make a difference. And what did you have with the wine when you got the headache? And it may be the perfect storm where they have the red wine, but they also have cheese and nuts and grapes, which all three are triggers. And so it's like the perfect storm that's happening.
So cheese, nuts, and grapes. I mean, let's talk about some of the foods then. I'm glad that you mentioned that can trigger headaches, because obviously if you know what to avoid, that could help, or what to have in moderation.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I have a 2-page list of foods, and the first thing that I hear from patients when I say, let's look at your diet, the first response I get is, well, I eat well, I have a very good diet, and I don't dispute that, but let's look at what components are in your diet. Because, for example, I always say healthy foods can trigger migraine: avocados, grapes, citrus fruits, for example, garlic, onion. So there are many, many things. The other food triggers dairy. Some people find gluten, although there's no evidence for that. When they go gluten-free, their headaches seem to get better. Yeast products. So if you go out and have a pizza, for example, there's probably 5 triggers just on that pizza, like the yeast in the dough, the processed cheese, the processed pepperoni, and the tomato sauce, which may be processed or canned on a pizza. So those are 4 or 5 things right there in one meal that potentially could be triggering.
Wow.
Other things, people tend to use a lot of bottled salad dressing, which could absolutely be a trigger, because there are preservatives. There's red wine vinegar. People don't think of vinegar as a trigger, but it's red wine. And some of the seasons that are not fresh spices or seasons. So those can also do it.
Do you have a caller in the line? Good morning, caller.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I had a question for the doctor.
Sure.
I've been trying to come off of sugar for a while, and I noticed that when I go cold turkey, I get headaches for the first couple of days. Is that common?
It's when you stop anything cold. So that can happen when you stop caffeine cold, when you stop sugar cold. If you suddenly stop dairy, people sometimes will complain of a headache. So it's that abrupt change. So yes, it possibly could.
Why does that happen?
Not sure. Not sure. We don't, again, all of these triggers, this is all based on history, personal experience, anecdotal experience with physicians. There's very little scientific evidence that says you get a headache from red wine or you get a headache from cheese because of this reason. We don't know. We truly don't know. With the sugar, I would maybe suggest it's a drop in your blood sugar that your body is not used to. That could be one thing. Whereas when you're taking sugar on a regular basis, you maintain a stable state with your blood sugar.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you, caller. And I guess keep trying to reduce the sugar, because obviously we know that that's not the best thing for us.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle.
Gradually.
All right. Very good. Good morning to Miss Faith and Hope, Miss Juliet, and Miss Dee Dee. Everybody paying attention in class this morning. Let's talk about some of these home remedies. Some of us know this. I mean, Caymanians swear that Vicks solves everything. Broken arm, Vicks. Cardiac event, Vicks. We're telling you, no, go to Health City. So we do see at the top of the list, though, is peppermint oil and Tiger Balm, probably very similar to maybe what Vicks kind of does. So why do these rubs like Tiger Balm and stuff, why do they work?
We don't know. We don't know why they work. We don't know if they work, but I absolutely recommend all these things. And particularly if you can imagine my pregnant patients who we really don't want to do any harm with medications. This is the first thing I talk to them about, which is natural remedies. So, taking a nap because sleep can help the headache, taking a break from the computer, getting off the computer, electronic devices, getting away from the TV, darkness in a room, drinking lots of water. I have patients who say, if I start to get a headache, I drink a lot of water. And so
Right.
was the headache due to dehydration? Possibly. Having a small cup of coffee, as I've already mentioned. Over-the-counter medications, if it's not a severe headache, if it's very occasional, absolutely not a problem. What I would say, treat early. If you think it's a migraine, then take your medication early. You have a better chance of it working if you take it right away than if you wait 2 or 3 hours. But be cognizant of the possibility of rebound headache or medication overuse headache. That's a common occurrence in people who have migraine. Up to 40% of people with chronic migraine have medication overuse headache. And I know it's not under home remedies, but as long as we're on the topic, it's better to prevent it than it is to treat it. And it occurs in people who are taking over-the-counter medications like Tylenol, ibuprofen, even Gravol, for example. Some of these benign remedies, if they're taken more than 3 consecutive days every week over a 3-month period of time, and you're starting to get a chronic, daily, low-grade headache that you wake up with, that could be because of the medication you're actually taking rather than using it to treat the headache.
Wow. I mean, it's so interesting. Yeah, that sometimes these things can help, and then other times they can actually be the cause. Absolutely. So some people get headaches because of caffeine, and I don't do well with like certain odors. So like cigarette smoke and stuff, I tell people I'm allergic to those things because instantly I get a headache when I'm around cigarette smoke. Cigar smoke is even worse for me. So wow, very interesting.
And just to go on that home remedies, it's not really a home remedy, it's more naturopathic. We start patients on vitamins. So we do nutraceuticals with all migraine patients, which include magnesium citrate, 300 milligrams twice a day, vitamin B2, it's also called riboflavin, 200 milligrams twice a day. And then coenzyme Q10 is also another very good one to try. So all of my migraine patients get started on the nutraceuticals in addition to medication if they need it.
Right. We've got a caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program. Hello, caller. Uh-oh, can't hear you. Caller, are you there? All right, check that connection. I see you called, but I cannot hear you for some reason. 936-2626 is the telephone number. All right, let's try that again. Good morning, caller. Uh-oh, I can't hear you. I feel like we're in that commercial. Hello? Hear me now. All right, folks, keep trying. Maybe the third time will be the charm. All right, so some home remedies here. Oh, third time. Let's see. Good morning, caller. Hi. Oh, hold on. Now I hear you, but you sound like you're in a vacuum. So let me just unplug and replug the phone back in. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, there you go.
Hi, good morning, Sandra.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. To the panel there, this is Jonathan. Adam, I'd just like to let y'all know, you might not be aware of this, but we actually have a plant native and indigenous to the Cayman Islands, some of which there are specimens of on the Shedder Hospital site there, which is called the headache bush.
Okay.
That are on the site there, and they have been used traditionally in Cayman to crush up the leaves and inhale the vapors that come from the leaf to relieve headache. That's why we call it headache bush.
So I'm curious, do you know what the proper scientific name for it is?
No, I actually don't remember what the proper Latin nomenclature is for that plant, but I could try find out.
Yeah.
But I
would wonder
where it is on the site.
Yeah, maybe send us a picture and we can ask people about it as well. But I'm always hesitant to suggest that people inhale stuff. I mean, how do you inhale it exactly? What's the preparation like? Because inhaling any kind of smoke really isn't good for you. But
you simply take the leaves. It has the quality, the tree itself, both leaves grow together in a mirror image. So the little caterpillars that attack it, it'll be like a mirror image either side. Anyway, all you do is you take the leaves and you crush them up in your palm, and you just inhale the vapors that result of the
okay, so you're not burning the plant in any way.
No, you're not burning it at all. You're not making a tincture. You're not doing anything of that sort. You're just simply crushing the leaves and inhaling the smell that's coming from the crushed leaves.
Can you describe the smell? Is it a peppermint or a lavender?
No, it has a long leaf that's almost reminiscent of the duppy bush leaf. I'm more than
What
happy
does
to
it
show
smell
all the
like?
images on the site.
Can you say that it smells like anything else that you smelled before, or?
I would say almost a Vicks style of scent to it, but slightly different, almost spicy.
Okay.
Okay.
But it is something of interest considering the fact that y'all are talking from Shedder Hospital.
Yeah. And what's it called again? The headache, they call it the headache plant?
Headache bush.
Headache bush.
Headache bush. It's right there. Let me see now. All right. When you're driving in on the left, right before Blue Rock, I think there's one stand of it. And it's a very verdant, dark green plant. But I'm more than happy to show anybody if they want to see it.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. But it's part of Cayman's bush medicine.
Yeah. Thank you. I know a lot of times we make teas and stuff, so it's interesting that this one is administered a little bit differently.
Yeah. It's just by inhaling it. You crush the leaves in your hand and you inhale it, and it's been used in Cayman from time memorial.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep. All
right, Jonathan. You too. Okay, so Jasana says, good morning. Any home remedies to help with IIH headaches? What's IIH headaches?
Oh, that's idiopathic intracranial hypertension. You know, unfortunately, no. The idiopathic intracranial hypertension, for those of you that aren't aware, is a condition that occurs primarily in females more than males, and it has a list of at least 20 or 30 different possible causes. Very often it can occur in a woman who's gained some weight quickly over a short period of time. We're still not completely sure on the physiology behind it, but basically it's spinal fluid circulating in the brain that is increased in the amount. So it's either because there's more being produced or less being absorbed, but it presents with headache, it presents with visual changes and ringing in the ears or tinnitus. Unfortunately, well, I'll also say that many of these women, or I'm going to say women because in my 35 years of practice, I've had maybe one male patient who has this condition. But many of the women who experience this also have a comorbidity with migraine. So it's important to tease out which ones of their headaches are migraine because you can treat the migraines. In terms of home remedies, as in any headache, you know, rest, minimizing any kind of electronics, computer, excessive screen time, cold compresses, for example, may be helpful. Some of these natural treatments like tiger balm, peppermint oil, and sometimes massage therapy may help, but these are all sort of additional measures. The bottom line is this needs to be diagnosed properly and treated with medication to bring the pressure down. If it's not treated, there could be visual loss because of pressure on the optic nerve.
Wow. That one sounds quite serious. So one of the things, Doc, that I love about this show is we always talk about that everybody's in class here because we're learning from each other. We share, and, you know, Jonathan was sharing this super helpful information about the headache bush. And right away, some of my students in class were paying attention and they sent me the following. So we already know. Yeah, look at that. So big shout out to students, Jamila and Sandra, both paying attention and decided to help out the teacher today by them taking the role. The teacher can always learn. So
horseradish or wasabi. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So, interesting. So it says a relative of the spooky devil's head. My goodness, that sounds scary. Caprius ferruginea, maybe, and bloody head raw bones. Oh my goodness. Headache bush gets its name from its primary medicinal use in Cayman culture. The leaves, which are glossy emerald on top and silvery beneath, smell a bit like horseradish or wasabi when crushed.
Wow.
Neither of which sound pleasant, but anyway.
Especially the wasabi.
I know. Ooh, that'll clear your sinuses for you.
I'm going to have to smuggle some back to Canada.
I wonder if it's indigenous to here. Probably not, but it says headache bush, which is, I guess, black willow in Jamaica and the Bahamas, and Jamaica caper in the U.S. This is the proper name, Caprius cinophalafora. Maybe that's close enough. And it's part of the caper family. Apparently, it's found in Florida, the West Indies, and continental tropical America, in rocky thickets and woodlands. Headache bush is an attractive native shrub or small tree with a rounded, compact crown, suitable for use in landscaping. But this one shows a little bit of what it looks like, so you can kind of get an idea. Let me see if I can find anything else on it. But yeah, wow, this is pretty interesting.
Wow.
So let me. I've got a better picture here. Just give me 1 second, and I'm going to show you guys exactly. It's a great picture. What it looks like. So interesting. Thanks, Jonathan. This has led us down an interesting path. But look, that's what it looks like. There you go.
Oh,
Never
okay.
really paid much attention to it. So
Wow. I will
know,
now. Yeah.
have you seen it, Shamari? He said it's around the city.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen it around Hell City, but I think I've seen it before. I'll definitely have a look right after this when I'm driving up, right before Blue Rock.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll pop out and have a look.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, so there you go. It says presumably the spicy aroma was thought to have a similar effect to the ammonia inhalants used since the time to restore consciousness and prevent fainting. When they're new, the leaves are folded tightly in half, and nibbling insects end up creating symmetrical designs similar to the Rorschach ink blots when the leaves later unfold. So produces capers that you can find alongside salmon and cream cheese on a bagel. Also belongs to the same family of genome. So the species name, however, is a bit strange. As it turns out, it's Cynophalaphora, which means carrying a dog's penis. Like, oh my gosh, this has gone from bad to worse. Oh my gosh. So there you go. Sources, Cambridge University Press. I must have had quite a chuckle having to put that line in there. Okay. Well, thank you again, Jonathan, for that. But if it helps, if it works, then why not, right, Doc?
For sure, as long as it doesn't cause any harm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So there's sometimes, though, this extensive list, like the Amora said, you've tried everything, nothing seems to work. Then you gotta call the good doc and you gotta say, Dr. Rose, I need you. What do I do?
So the question is, when do you call the doc, or when do you go to the hospital, really? And I think the answer is if there's a change in pattern of your headaches. In other words, you're suddenly developing an aura. If your headaches are escalating in frequency or in severity, if the over-the-counter medication isn't working, keeping in mind that you should not get into overuse of that medication because that's a problem. And if you have a very bad headache that comes on like that, and you've never had that before, that's definitely something that needs to be investigated. So I think basically for the general public, if there's a change, if there's worsening, if it's not responding, then that's the time that you really need to get in to see someone.
Because again, that could be, I read, I always like to read these medical stories of someone who had an aneurysm. And when they were asked to describe it, like how would you describe it? They said it was an immediate onset of what was the worst headache of their life ever. Like the pain was tremendous. So when you have a situation like that, you probably need to call 911. You need to get to the emergency services pretty quickly. Yeah.
I mean, there are some headaches that are what we call exertional headaches that can occur, for example, with sexual intercourse, with weightlifting, with exertion. So there are circumstances with coughing, even, for example, you can get these severe explosive headaches. And many of them are benign, but it's nobody's position to say that's just a benign cough headache. They definitely warrant investigations in most situations.
All right. This person says some headaches are stress related. Say if you have a difficult job or marriage, what does the doc recommend for that? Well, I would say get rid of the spouse. Sorry. If they're causing you
can say that. You can say that.
If that's the cause of your headache, find a new job.
So I think the important message there is to make sure that it isn't any other kind of headache. I mean, obviously, yes, you get rid of the factor that's causing the stress, but many people who say they've had stress headaches in their life, if we really dig into the history, in fact, may have had migraines. So, yes, we always need to deal with the stress in our life to reduce our headache frequency, because stress can make migraines much worse as well. But don't assume it's always just stress. If it's ongoing, if it's not responding, if it's getting worse, then have it looked at.
Jonathan had a good laugh at that one. Went to see a doctor. So again, headaches that are disabling in any way. So I'm assuming that sometimes, you can't do anything else all of a sudden. You got to pull off the road. You can't drive. Those would be very, very concerning.
Absolutely. Yes. And if you're missing time off work, for example, if you find that your absenteeism is escalating because of the headaches and you can't function, I ask patients, are there any significant lifestyle or lifetime events that you've missed? And when people tell me that they haven't been able to go to Christmas dinner with their family, they haven't been able to go to their little child's birthday party or their daughter's graduation because they had a headache, then that to me signifies there's something more going on.
Right. All right, some things here to manage headaches. So number one, know your triggers, and we've been talking about, what those are. Like I said, if it's an individual, limit your time with that individual if you have to. Eat on time. Now, this eating on time is interesting because a lot of people are on board now with this intermittent fasting.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Really?
Not for migraine patients. No, because it depends on how long your fasting time is. If you're doing fasting from 7 p.m. until 6 a.m., you're probably going to be fine. But if you're doing the 12-hour, 16-hour fast, you're really not doing your headache a favor. You really should have some sort of intake between that period of time because it will trigger a headache. It's just not a good thing for, as I said, if there's nothing more you remember that migraine brains hate change and they love routine. So that could take, you could take that into sleeping too much, sleeping not enough. You could take it into skipping meals. You could take it into not exercising or exercising then stopping. So any routine that you're in, as soon as you break that routine, you're setting yourself up for a headache.
Interesting. All right. Eating a balanced diet, avoid foods with nitrates. So that's a lot of processed meats and stuff, right?
So again, no science behind that, but we do see a trend of people who are eating. We always recommend not eating the processed foods, not eating, things like processed tomato sauce or canned things, because there are preservatives in all of these things.
Drinking lots of water, reduce alcohol consumption, getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, all the things that are good for you for so many other reasons as well. Reducing caffeine intake, eating on time, and speak with a professional to manage stress. Let me ask you a question about caffeine intake though, right? Going back to when women are pregnant, they say to you after you've had the baby and you've had the epidural, that if you find the epidural headache coming on, they want you to have a Pepsi. What is it in the drink that helps?
We don't know, again, but it's like there are things, caffeine and headache. Too much caffeine causes a headache. Not enough caffeine causes a headache. When you get a headache, you take a cup of coffee and it helps. But in terms of what's actually happening, whether there may be some constriction of the vessels in theory that may prevent the headache with the epidural, or even if we have a patient who has what we call low pressure headaches and they haven't had an epidural, you can get it post-traumatically, you can get it spontaneously. We recommend bed rest and caffeine intake for a period of time as a trial to see if it helps the headache.
Right. Eating on time, speak with a professional to manage your headaches, as we've said this morning. Evelyn, she says that she suffers from migraines. So I went to Health City and did a scan that was normal. I cut out a lot of dairy and they're not as frequent as they used to be. So maybe a food trigger was part of the problem there. Shaka Zulu, good morning. It says, to be clear, the doc is only referring to folks suffering from migraine headaches when it comes to intermittent fasting. Yes, she did say that specifically. Evelyn says that when she feels it coming on, she'll also drink some coffee. When she feels a migraine coming on. All right. Well, the good doc, Dr. Rose Gianmarco, is here for June the 27th, providing holistic health services, treating common health conditions such as headaches. The headache clinic is going to be made available. And again, she's one of Canada's leading headache specialists. So this has been a very, very fascinating conversation this morning. Any final takeaways for people who are listening?
So I think that if, just remember what we call the red flags, if there is a concern based on what we've talked about, increasing frequency, changing pattern, and so on, that would be the one thing to seek attention. Be very cognizant of the medication overuse headache, because it is a challenge to get people to come off that medication. And they do often, 40% of people actually get better once they stop the over-the-counter medications that are being taken. So those would be the main things, I think, for today's session.
Yeah. Wow. So over dependent on the meds is not a good idea. It almost sounds like you get a bit of an addiction.
It's not really an addiction, because you can stop them abruptly and you're fine. In most cases, you might get a bit of a headache. And I always tell patients you get a little worse before you get better. So it's not an addiction. And I'm very careful to tell patients that you are not addicted to this. You can stop it. So.
Right. Okay, good. All right. So Evelyn says, I went to see Dr. Rose and she advised me what to try and it worked. Thank you, doctor. So happy patient there. We also have Miss Lavana, who is at Health City currently. We're wishing her, again, a successful procedure tomorrow. She says, I've been here now for a week tomorrow. And like I said, and like I always say, Health City is the best. The service is awesome. The food is great. And I have a huge room for myself. Look at that. Wonderful. And she enjoys her own company. I was asking her the other day and I said, well, is there anything that you need? And she said, no, I'm enjoying myself because I love my own company. So
perfect. Right. What a nice thing to say.
I know, right? Absolutely wonderful. Well, Dr. Rose, thank you so much. This has been a very, very interesting conversation. Again, folks, the month of June, Migraine and Headache Awareness Month. So, find out obviously as much as you can about this. If you suffer from headaches, you don't have to suffer in silence. If it's interrupting your life in any way, then definitely reach out to Dr. Rose coming on June the 27th for her next clinic. Shamari, any final thoughts?
No, just a huge thank you to Dr. Rose for being a part of the Health City team. And she rounds out that neurosciences team that we have. And we're always looking to fill gaps. And as you know, we're going to have that new facility open. And this was one of those gaps that we were able to fill before the new facility. And we just always thank Dr. Rose for her expertise, whether it has to do with Canadian patients that are coming down or she's not making herself available to our community that we have here. And if you want to book an appointment, you can call 640-4040 or info@healthcity.ky in order to book an appointment with her. And Sandy, I always have the unique mug.
Oh, yeah.
So
what
I got
whale?
It's a whale. It's from Newfoundland. So my wife brought it back from Newfoundland. I've not been, but she brought it back from Newfoundland. And
nice.
She's like, I heard about all your mugs, but you've not used the mug I brought from XYZ months ago. So
I know.
Yeah, I had to bring on the Newfoundland whale mug.
Yeah, I think he collects coffee mugs. Just as bad as I am with water bottles. My husband said, don't you buy another water bottle? I love a good water bottle. All right. Thank you so much. Again, very, very informative, informational segment here. Let me just clarify something, Shamari. I saw that on my sheet, it said the clinic is June the 28th, but then otherwise it said the 27th.
So do we know?
It's the 27th, yes.
Okay.
27th. And then there's one on August the 22nd as well.
Is the next one. All right. So I think I might come see you in August. I'm going to kind of monitor the occipital nerve because I won't be here for the 27th. But lately, the last 3-4 weeks, it's really been kind of nagging me again. Yeah. So I think I might come and see you. And I'm going to check out that suggestion with a water pillow as well. Because that sounds like that would be kind of nice, especially in the heat, sleeping in Cayman heat, Anything to cool you down feels great to me. Thank you so much, Doc. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Good to see you all. Take care.
All righty. Shamari, thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.
It was a pleasure.
Happy
Next week.
Tuesday. Yes, indeed. Okay, so we got Shaka Zulu says, Auntie Sandy, make sure that you're only using glass water bottles and not any type of plastic water bottles. Oh my gosh. We need to have a discussion. We're not having it today about the whole thing with microplastics entering our bodies. Like our bodies are testing for all this microplastic, and we're going to talk about how it's seeping in. Like, how are we getting it? So thank you, Miss Lucille. She says, I love your talk. You stay blessed. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, no, I tend to do like this one. So these are metal and, good insulation. Man, some of these water bottles that I have are amazing. Like I can have ice in it all day and into the next day, and it is still cold. It's like, wow, they really do a great job of insulating. I don't drink coffee. So I don't need the heat, but I can tell you in terms of keeping things cold, they're the way to go. So I'm definitely going to go on Amazon later on and have a look for this water pillow. That sounds interesting. I've got to order a few things on Amazon, honey chill. So water pillow for sleeping, for neck pain. Oh. But yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because like I said, just the other day, in fact, when Mary and I were in Miami, she's like, do you know that you have this twitching thing? I think it's more on the right side. And I said to her, I've heard other people tell me, because literally they'll be watching me, they're like, do you know that your shoulder just twitched? And I'm like, no, but I've had this frozen shoulder thing before, where I was in really a lot of pain. And the doctor said in that case, he's like, we're not going to recommend, this is orthopedic surgeon. He's like, we're not going to recommend anything drastic. You just got to get proper neck support with like your pillow and stuff like that. So thank you, Strong Will. Yeah, I pulled this one out of the closet. It's quarter length sleeve, kind of longer. And I felt like today, being that the weather is a little bit gloomy out there. Let me peek out the window. The sun is trying its best to come out, but man, I tell you, it's fighting hard. But yes, I thought, oh yeah, when I go places today, every place is going to be cold because everybody's keeping the temperatures like at 70 degrees when it's nice and cool outside. All right. So, good stuff. So we got a lot to talk about. So let's hit it, honey. Cheer. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Everybody over on Instagram is good. I see y'all over there. Lena, Rage 345. What we prayed so hard for rain that it's not stopping. I know. That's the thing. You got to be careful. They always say, be careful what you pray for, because you can't control, be careful what you wish for. You can't control the quantity that you're going to get it in. But, we're so thankful for it. It's just that, my gosh, it was like, we'll give you a year's worth of rain in 1 week. I was like, no. All right. The backup, the regular channel is up. I just noticed. I tried it during the show. Yesterday it wasn't. I tried it during the show and it's back. So we have people on both the backup and the regular channel. So tomorrow we'll switch over to just the regular channel again. So everybody in the backup channel, make sure you like and subscribe to that channel, because when things happen, we got it available. And then if you're watching on the regular channel this morning, make sure you like and follow the backup channel, just in case. You got options, honey child. Options are good, except when you're supposed to be a married person. You're not supposed to be looking at options. I'm just saying. There's certain times you can't be shopping for wife number 2 if you still got wife number 1 hanging around the place. All right, let's talk about these things, because y'all know the morning sis is about to get turned up a little bit. Studio is about to get hot. So I was minding my own business over the weekend, as I often do. I know y'all find it hard to believe, honey child, but trust me when I tell you. I don't go out of my way for news. News comes to me. And well, when it comes to me, I'm going to listen. So I got a message and said, oh, Sandy, in reference to your article. And I was like, what article? Because I was like, I'm sitting here eating turned mangoes with salt and pepper. So I didn't even know what they were talking about. I was like, what article? I'm enjoying a moment here. Which, by the way, let me thank Mr. Crawford for all the turned mangoes that he's always bringing me. There's like 2 in the batch that were a little bit too ripe for me, because y'all know I don't really eat ripe mangoes. This weekend, here's what was so funny. We were sitting here speaking. A friend had stopped by and they were like in awe of all the mangoes. Our mango tree is literally hanging to the ground with mangoes. Now they're just falling off, right? Everything's like, right, so many mangoes. This is an East Indian mango tree and I don't eat any of it. So they were like, man, you don't know what you're missing out on. Marlon was like cutting it, eating the mango. He was having a fantastic time. Our friend who was over is like, why don't you eat ripe mangoes? Like, you don't know what you're missing. I was like, I mean, it's not like I've never had a ripe mango in my life. I know what a ripe mango tastes like. And I'll eat ripe mangoes like in salads and stuff like that. but I'm a green turned mango kind of girl. I love me a turned mango. Oh my God, I was in heaven this weekend. Whew, did y'all see the poll? I need to go check the poll results. I was like, tell me, which do you prefer? Turned mango with a little salt and pepper, and if you want to add a little spices and whatever. They're all the rave right now in Miami, by the way. I'm going to get one of those franchises just to be able to show up to I'm going to show up to Badabanu with my little, 345 mango station where you can get all the turned mangoes in the world. And all those different types of sauces. You've not had a good turned mango until you explore the different options. Yeah, throw some what was the thing I told you guys I tried that kind of threw me for a loop, but I was like, this is actually really good. The condensed milk. Was it condensed milk? Yeah. That was condensed milk on mango. I thought that was crazy until I tried it. And then I was like, oh, okay. Honey child. This is where it's at. Anyway, I was sitting there peeling my mangoes. So as we were talking about mangoes, ironically, I get a message from my neighbor. He said, oh, I just left something on the door for you. I was like, oh, we're in heaven. Because I know what he likes to leave at the door for me. So I run out there and I grab my mangoes. I'm like, yes. Rinse them off real quick. Took out my peeling knife. Grabbed my seasoned salt. Grabbed my black pepper. And I was sitting down there, just peeling and making myself so happy with these turned mangoes. And then I got a message that said, oh, I need to talk to you about this article. And I was like, what article? I don't know about an article. I'm sitting here eating mangoes. About this PR dilemma. And I said, PR dilemma? Let me go and have a look. What's going on Mall Road? Sometimes I need to check Mall Road myself to know what's going on. Well, lo and behold, nothing but pure drama. Where shall we begin? All right, let's talk about this young man. His name is Howard. Let me see here now. Let me show y'all his picture. We have more than one picture of him. This is Howard Barracks. Now, there's some very unusual things about Howard that we're going to talk about that to me are kind of red flags. But let me give you all the story. Now, let's talk about the lawsuit. So Howard is suing WORC, claiming that their let me just pull up his case here, honey chill. Claiming that they turned down his application. Let me just see, Howard. Let me find the case. Let's see here now. Oh gosh, where's the case now? Hold on. I'm looking downloads. Documents. Is this the one? Oops. Hold on. I want to open this file. Open. I think this is the one. Yes. Okay. So Howard is suing WRC, which is Workforce Opportunities Residency, blah, 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 formerly immigration, basically. And the director, Mr. Jeremy Scott, claiming that his application for residency has been denied on the basis of marriage. Now, the reason why they've denied it, and I need y'all to pay attention now, because some of y'all are a little bit confused about the criteria. So, of course, we are going to look at the criteria and what the law says. You got to look at the law. The law, it tells you that's a criteria. Morning, Jerry. Jerry says, I prefer the crispy green local. Yes, honey, child. Ripe mangoes ain't ripe mangoes unless you're eating it while sitting in the sea, says Jonathan. Oh, my goodness. All right. So listen. Mr. Howard here is suing our government, basically, which means we, the people, are getting sued because they denied his application. Here's the facts. I'm going to give you all the facts that are in the lawsuit. This is what we call a judicial review. So judicial review, just to back it up, is where anytime you sue government, it's called a judicial review, basically, because you're questioning the decision administratively in law of a government agency, a government worker, that's a judicial review application. So he's, of course, claiming Bill of Rights. Everybody going for the Bill of Rights these days, honey chill. Even the cockroach in my house want to think that he got Bill of Rights until I slap his with that broom and kill him. He ain't got no rights around here. Some of y'all get a little bit too comfortable thinking you got all kind of rights. Y'all be lucky that Sandy ain't in charge of immigration, because you wouldn't. I'd be slapping you like I slapped that cockroach. Anywho, the cockroach don't have no rights around here. Don't come to me with no Bill of Rights foolishness, because that not gonna work. On the 30th of April 2024, fresh, the applicant filed an application seeking leave to apply for judicial review of the decision of the director of WRC, that's Mr. Jeremy Scott, dated December the 19th, 2023, refusing an application by the applicant to permanently reside in the Cayman Islands as the surviving spouse of a Caymanian. The applicant seeks to set aside the decision on the ground that it was unlawful, irrational, disproportionate, unreasonable. They always say that. That's like standard legal lingo, okay? What does that mean? Well, his wife, and listen, some of this is going to get a little bit. Let me just put this out there. It is difficult to have these conversations without you guys knowing who the parties are. So you're going to know who the wife is. She has passed away. Her condolences to her family. I didn't know her particularly well. We were and still are Facebook friends. And, you know, I did know that she had suffered from cancer for basically half of her life. She had cancer 3 different times. Real fighter, really, really struggled. And it's so sad that even in death, this poor woman can't even just relax. And you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. All this foolishness around her memory. He should be ashamed of himself. But then again, some people ain't got no shame. So they were married June of 2021. And she passed away April of 2023. She's Caymanian. He's from Jamaica. So let me show you Mr. Howard. Hold on here, child. Get a glimpse at what he looks like here. And I'm going to tell you something about him that is actually very, very interesting. I found it a little bit, it piqued my interest. Let me put it that way. Okay. He looks a little bit different in his photos. So that's Howard. That's also Howard. That's also Howard. And that's also Howard. Why does he look so different in these pictures? He looks, I mean, these two are the same. This is when he was a nail tech. So he went from being a nail tech to being a juice man. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. But here he is. Apparently he used to do nails. And now, you know, he's a businessman. The land of opportunities, boy. Cayman really something. I'm just saying. Opportunities for everybody except Caymanians for the most part. But let's continue. He cleaned up, says Shamar, after he got married. Well, I guess so. That's the benefit for some of y'all. Clean up real nice. Anywho, let me not digress quite yet. All right. So married in June 24, 2021. The wife passed away in April 2023. So there is in the law a requirement that when you apply for permanent residency, you have to be that the marriage. Now listen, carefully listen. The marriage has subsisted for normally 7 years is the requirement. So what he did was in July of 2023, he submitted an application on the grounds that the marriage had subsisted for less than 7 years. And he was a surviving spouse of a Caymanian. Now, remember we talked about this before. When it's less than 7 years, there's really a lot that you have to prove, like child of the marriage, like all these additional things are required for you to be able to get this lifetime benefit of basically getting permanent residency and eventually the right to become a Caymanian off of a deceased spouse. Remember the case we talked about it was that lady who her and that husband got married like 10, 11 days beforehand. There's a big difference between the two cases. I know a lot of you like, Sandy, well, you know, Jeremy gave it to him in that case. I don't agree with his decision in that case. I want to be very, very clear. But I can understand from a legal and logical position what he may have been thinking. And I can also see the distinction in the facts of that case versus this case. And there's a big distinction. Here's the biggest one of all. In this particular case, the spouse did not support the application even before she died. We're going to get into the details. In that other case, the spouse was the one who was pushing to quick time get married before she died because she knew her death was imminent, to quick time put in his application. And so it was the spouse, the Caymanian spouse, who was the driving force behind allowing him to stay here. People say in that case, he was by all accounts there for her. I don't know what happens behind closed doors. I don't know exactly what that means. I can't tell you if they ever consummated the marriage because of her illness, if they were ever, I can't tell you any of those things. But what I can tell you is her and her family, even her Jamaican ex-husband, all very, very supportive of this man getting this benefit. See, in my eyes, it's still a marriage of convenience. It's just that the Caymanian spouse is part of accepting that it was a marriage of convenience to be able to allow him to stay here. So on that basis alone, I don't think that he should have gotten it. But, obviously I don't run immigration. So it is what it is. This case is very different. And we're going to look at some of the differences here. So he says that the decision was made without first providing him with an opportunity to rebut the matters referred to by the director as informing the decision. He also praised in aid of his application, Section 13 of the Constitution, regarding the process for orders for the removal of persons from the island. And he goes on, the application was for leave was first placed before the court back in May. It's apparent to the court that the pre-action protocol has not been complied with. An extension was sought. So in other words, they did the application initially, didn't get it right before the court, got an extension, and here we are now. They're being allowed to put forth their judicial review application. So the decision against which leave to apply for judicial review sought was made on December the 23rd, where the Grand Court mandated as follows. There's a time of 3 months from the time of the decision that you now need to submit your judicial review application. So it says here that he set out in his affidavit at paragraph 46. Can't believe he had so many points in his affidavit. Good Lord. That when he was informed of the decision, he was also advised that he had a right to appeal to the Immigration Appeals Tribunal within 28 days. And so I guess he must have tried that. According to point 48, in February of 2024, Kim Bullings, after careful review of the decision, I write to advise you the decision from the director of WRC indicates that Mr. Barracks has the right to appeal to the tribunal. Blah, 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 blah. It clarifies that the tribunal's jurisdiction to hear appeals from decisions of the director or his designate is limited to decisions made under sections of the act specified in section 21. So in other words, they were like, this is outside of her remit because that section is a different section, all this legal stuff. All right. So he missed the initial 3-month mark to challenge the decision through the court by way of judicial review. And then they allowed him to do it. Right. So they say here at point number 13, the court was minded to deny the application for leave to apply for judicial review. In light of the nature of the application, the court invited counsel to specifically address the issue of delay. Because listen, the court gives you dates. You have 7 days to do this, 14 days to do this, and they're not very gracious a lot of times, except in exceptional circumstances. They're not going to be gracious about giving you any extensions beyond that. However, in this case, they have, after hearing from it, let me see here. Wait a minute. Okay, so she goes into all of her reasoning at page 6, blah, 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 blah. Normally, you just get to the bottom, the final decision, and the court makes the following orders. Application for leave is granted. So she went through why she wasn't going to grant it initially, and then why, blah, 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 blah. Now, there is something interesting with this guy here, and I think the court needs to clarify something for me. His name is spelled differently throughout this application. And his name on social media, his last name is also spelled differently. So I'm confused about whether or not the court documents have his name misspelled. Can I ask somebody from the courts to check on this for me, please? Or if they, so there's a possibility that the courts got it wrong, which I'd hope his lawyer would have gotten his name wrong, or he actually has his name spelled differently on social media. So they have it spelled Barrocks, Barrocks, like rocks. And then other places, I see it spelled with an A. So even in relation to the section here where it quotes what Kim Bullings referred to him, indicates Mr. Barracks, there it's spelled differently. Can somebody tell me what the man's proper name is? How is it actually spelled? All right, I'm going to send this to the folks over at the courthouse because I'd like some clarification because, of course, we want to report it correctly. Let me see now. Let me see. All right, so what is the correct spelling of this? What would he be? The plaintiff's name? Barrocks or Brracks? We would like to know, and I'll tell y'all why later. Okay, so it's important to get people's names right, regardless. When you're dealing with legal documents. So immediately after the story went up, I didn't know anything about the story. Renee does a lot of these, run of the mill in the sense that she just looks at the court documents, the filings, boom, write up the facts. There's, whatever. She doesn't have to consult with me to write a story like this. So I looked it over and I thought, interesting. And then my phone started to go haywire and I started to get all sorts of messages from all sorts of different people. There is a balancing act that is required when we have this discussion today. Because first of all, there is truth to the fact that nobody knows what happens behind closed doors. Relationships are very, very complex, right? I'm a married woman. You guys know some of you are married, some of you are not married. Some of y'all got a couple boyfriends. You tell one boyfriend he's the love of your life. You tell the next one, no, that they're the love of your life. Like, listen, in matters of the heart, things can get very complicated. Okay. Some of y'all change your feelings about people, whether you love them or not love them, or lustful, whatever you want to call it, like how you change your undies every single day. Every day it's a different feeling. Oh, today I love this one more. No, I love this one. And it's like, that's why y'all got so many baby daddies and stuff, because y'all can't make up your mind what the heck it is you're really doing. So this becomes difficult when you think that this is a marriage of convenience. I'm going to talk about exactly what that is and why this plays an important role here, right? Because the question then becomes, what was really going on with these parties? So I have people on the one side saying, but Sandy, he was there for her. They had purchased a family home together and this and that, and And, her family weren't really that supportive and she'd been suffering for so long. And finally she had this guy who was there for her. Is this really a case of like the family not wanting him to get this status and not wanting him to remain here, death benefit, if you will, off of poor Trisha? Or is this a case where, because I saw, she loved him and she was telling me how much she was in love with him, I'm like, listen, like I just said, when it comes to matters of the heart, things are very complicated. I cannot tell you what is in anybody's heart, right? However, as Aunt Lottie used to say, actions speak louder than words. So oftentimes, what you have in your heart is manifested in your actions. What you have in your head is eventually manifested. Y'all know the saying, watch your thoughts because they become what? Hold on. Let me tell you how. Let me tell y'all. Y'all know I've read this to you numerous times before. Watch your thoughts because they become words. Watch your words because they become actions. Watch your actions because they become habits. Watch your habits because that becomes your character. And watch your character because that becomes your destiny. And it all starts with what is here, what you think, which a lot of times comes from your heart. Okay? Becomes your words. Becomes your your words become your actions. So what do the good old people say, which is something we can all live by? Judge a man by his actions. Because sweet mouth can say anything in the world. Have we not seen it before? Yes. I was going to post this one up because this is so true. I've been really into these little life quotes and lessons. Actions prove who someone is. Words prove who they pretend to be. Can we get a hallelujah up in class this morning?
Praise the Lord!
How many times have we not been fooled by somebody's words? But you know what they say about this whole situation? Your words can only, there's only so long that you can pretend for. You can't pretend forever. You can't just speak things forever. Eventually, your actions will reveal themselves and will show and demonstrate who you are. That's why some of us, listen, we be riding with people. Oh yeah, this person's my good friend because they say all the right things. And one day, their actions are going to prove to you whether they're a friend or not. And that's the day that you hear what people say. Don't ask someone to show you who they are more than once. Because in that moment, and sometimes it can be just a little glimpse, they demonstrate and they prove to you who they are. You better pay close attention and you better wise up. So guess what? I think of the little that I know about this situation. Again, I'm not an expert on their relationship. That this man demonstrated at some point to Trisha who he was before she died. And she said, not today, Bobo. Not today. Okay, let's talk about it. Because this isn't a question of what her family is trying to do in this point in time. This is what happened while she was still alive and in their relationship. A relationship, by definition, the legal definition of it being intact, is very, very different. So I saw a lot of your comments about, oh, well, Sandy, he was still married to her. She hadn't gotten a chance to file the divorce yet. And I'm like, obviously, you guys are confused about what that means. Hold on. Because a relationship that is intact doesn't mean that you have, or not intact, isn't defined by the fact that you have the divorce decree. Exactly. Yes? But it matters. So let's have a look here at section 40, subsection 3, right? Residency and employment rights certificate for spouse or civil partner of a Caymanian. So we start at section 38. So let me pull up the law. Hold on one second. Let's do a little screen share here so y'all can follow along with me. Yes, you need to know the law for yourselves. Don't take my word for it, honey chill. All right, here we go. Let's increase this size. Jot down your notes. Take out your little notebooks, classy. Let's look at section 38. So let's skip ahead. Let me see if this is intuitive. Like if I click on section 38 here, boom, it takes me right to it. Good. Here we go. Residency and employment rights certificate for spouse or civil partner of a Caymanian. Here we are. Subject to section 43, the spouse or civil partner of a Caymanian may apply to the director of WRC or the Cayman Status and Permanent Residency Board for permission to reside in the islands. And if such application is successful, the director, as the case may be, shall grant to the applicant a residency and employment rights certificate. There we go. Application shall be accompanied by evidence as to the stability of the marriage or civil partnership and a statement as to the number of dependents, if any, of the spouse. All right, let's talk about this evidence about the stability of the marriage. Okay? So let me be clear. She had applied for a divorce decree. It had not yet been granted because unfortunately her illness was so terminal and he was contesting it. That is noteworthy that they did not get to actually complete it because y'all know divorces can take a long time. This is one of the things that I'd like for legislators to work on. Y'all need to, in the English legal system and in Cayman, We still have a fault-based divorce system. So in other words, you need to show fault and you need to be able to, the burden is on you to prove what you say. And one of the sections of the divorce law, I have to go back to my PPC notes, but one of them is actually that the person was basically being unfaithful. And then you can actually, by law, call in the other party who they were unfaithful with as almost like a party to the divorce decree, right? Which is pretty wild when you think about it. A lot of places in the world have what they call no-fault divorce. It's this basic philosophy. Listen, we no longer care why you guys are divorcing. You want a divorce, you shouldn't be burdened with having to prove this person did this, this, and this. The marriage is irretrievably broken down. The court's going to force you, you say it's irretrievably broken down. Stay with the person for a couple more years and see how you feel about it. Like it really kind of puts you, fault-based divorce puts you through the ringer as the person who's trying to actually disengage from your spouse and get a divorce. You have to pick a specific section as, this is a section under which, I think there's about 8 sections under which I want to get my divorce. It puts a lot of burden on the person who wants to get the divorce and thereby allows it to be drawn out forever. And then the spouse can be, no, I'm going to contest it because I wasn't really cheating. I mean, yeah, I was there feeding her up and whatever, but that's not cheating. That's not my definition of cheating. So, it's ridiculous. Allow people to divorce if they want to divorce, okay? On a business with it. When you're done and people know when you've made up your mind and you're done, you're done. I mean, hello, the divorce rate is already high. It's already at 50%. Stopping people from getting a divorce isn't what's going to keep the divorce rate low. You're just drawing it out for a longer period of time. What you need to do is ensure that at the beginning of the marriage, people have access to counseling, couples therapy, all these other things is what helps to keep a marriage together and helps to strengthen people. Supporting the family unit, not when they're at the end of it saying, well, we don't want you to get a divorce too easily. They've already made up their mind. They're done. They're like, I'm out of here. So having the process take on average 2 years, to me, makes absolutely no sense. Our legislators need to change the legislation. Make it quick, honey child. 30 days, 90 days, boom, you're done. In a situation like this where someone's dying, let's be very frank here. The last thing that they would want is to have this hanging over their deathbed situation. Look at subsection 3, 38.3. The directive WRC or the board shall take into account the following. The spouse or civil partnership of the applicant is Caymanian. The marriage is not a marriage of convenience. Let me pause there, honey child, because that is going to play into this particular situation, right? The person is of good character. That might play into this situation. The person is of good health. I guess he's all right. The marriage or civil partnership is stable. Section E. So look here now, those of you who say, well, Auntie, she hadn't yet gotten the divorce. One of the requirements is that the marriage is stable. Understand what I just said. Let me screen grab it because I want to ensure that you all are paying attention in class today. It has nothing to do, in fact, with the divorce. You cannot yet have gotten a divorce and still have an unstable marriage. WORC has all rights to believe and to know that this marriage was unstable, and we're going to talk about why. We're going to get into the details here this morning. Because you have to be able to prove it. You can't just say, well, we think the marriage was unstable. No, you start to look for information. Why would you think the marriage is unstable? Well, I'm going to tell y'all why we would think that the marriage was unstable. Yes, honey child, I got the divorce proceedings. Don't worry about that. We got it right here. Let's talk about it. Okay. We're going to look at her own words in some of this. This is what some of her friends had to say who reached out. Okay, let me see which ones we're going to get to. This was one opinion. A friend who was very, very close to her says he tricked her. That's what I think. This is her opinion. All of her teeth were falling out due to the previous chemo, and she had to go to Jamaica for dental surgery in 2021. So a little bit of history about how they met. I think it was it was, and he asked his mom to check on her. So this is kind of the beginning of the relationship. And that made her feel like he was someone supportive. Then he was using her house to do the juices because he was working under her sister's permit/business license, all verified, by the way. And that's how they became close. And through him being at her house, often it became a relationship. She wanted a good man, but didn't seem to know how to pick them. Poor thing. She had her own insecurities, being that she had a mastectomy. She had mastectomy scars and scars from multiple surgeries, etc. And one can presume even low self-esteem, to which he used to his advantage. But after they were married, his first concern was if she was going to get breast implants and butt surgery. Lord Jehovah. Well, this person is very close to her, my apologies. And so this was information that she would have been sharing. Now, listen, I don't know how this works, but when you find someone who is ill, has had multiple cancer incidents, right? And they're dealing with all this stuff, all these cosmetic things, getting breast implants and butt implants and whatever. Listen, the butt ain't got nothing to do with her surgery. A lot of women choose not to get reconstructive surgery on the breast. That is their choice. And no man in their right mind should be pressuring any woman. If you care for her, you got to get past the physical, because yes, there are physical scars that come when you've had a mastectomy and these other surgeries, right? And you have to, she's lost her hair. She's losing her teeth. That's the impact of chemo. You talking about butt surgery and breast implants, dude, you are as superficial as they come, if that is a true statement. Okay? We're going to come back to this one here in a second. All right. He also was physically abusive, at least on one occasion. Now, I can't fathom someone who's ill and going through the sickness itself, having a spouse who would dare lay a finger on you. My God, Jesus, please come down today. Because I can tell you what, I might not have the strength to tap you and box you back, because, you're weak in state and stuff like that. But I got to find some kind of special something to put in your juice to send you a very clear message that you never would put your hands on me again. At the time of her death, he was not living in the matrimonial home. Okay? That's important. These are the elements that the WRC would have to take into consideration. This was not a marriage. Go back to the law that one would consider to be stable. A stable marriage is not one when you kick the man out of the house. She already had filed for divorce. That is not a stable message. You see what that last statement there says on the screen? I'm going to let y'all read that for yourselves, because we can't use profanity while we're on Bobo before 10:30. Basically says the expletive boy is evil. Honey child. But it is one thing to have somebody say he's a crooked, another expletive. All right. It's one thing to hear how people are describing this man, right? They know the story. This is what their relationship was like. It is a whole other cup of tea to see it in Trisha's own words. That, honey child, is an eye-opener. My apologies for the zooming in of the camera. There we go. I keep forgetting these hand movements. All right. So the divorce decree, let me show y'all what that looks like now, honey child. Hold on. She had filed for divorce. Yep. And where's my little divorce decree here? Let me open it up. So she filed for divorce. I'm just saying. And let me show y'all this. Petition. Okay. Here is the divorce petition. Let me show you the screen right. All right. So here she is in November 2020, filing for her divorce. Now she has his name spelled with an O, so I think maybe somebody at the court office, but then he spells it with an A. Now, unless he's trying to hide all these social media accounts, which we're going to get to in a second, why would that? I'm a little bit confused. Anyway, poor Miss Trisha talks about, okay, they got married June of 2021. Keep in mind now, this is November of 2022, and already she is divorcing him. That didn't last very long. Let me just put it that way. Yes? Didn't last long at all. Okay? In February of that year, I'm aware that they purchased a little house together. And so it says that, they were living and cohabiting in Orange Drive, Georgetown. The jurisdiction, they have no children of the marriage. There's no proceedings pending in this court. So this is standard lingo now for marriage petitions. She says particulars of unreasonable behavior. So the grounds on which she applied was unreasonable behavior. Like I said, in this jurisdiction, you gotta pick a ground. You can't say just irreconcilable differences or, I'm done. You gotta tell them. Not only the grounds within the 8 that are available in the law, but you also, on top of that, have to specify what exactly the unreasonable behavior is. So she says, the parties have ceased communicating effectively, and their sense of being husband and wife has gone from relationship, and the parties have discontinued all marital relations. Okay. Respondent has shown that he no longer cares for the petitioner, which has caused additional stress on the petitioner. Oh God, that breaks my heart. I mean, here she is going through this ongoing battle with cancer, and she now is saying he no longer cares for her. Oh my goodness. And that's adding stress to her life. I can believe it, because relationship stress can be next level, y'all. Don't mess with that, honey child. Get out. Run to the hills, I say. Poor thing. So she says, yes, this man was stressing me out. It's obvious that he doesn't care. Listen, if it went sour that quickly, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Trisha realized that this was a marriage of convenience for him from day one. That's what this was. Yep, from day one. He's left the matrimonial home. Let's go back to the law. Does that sound like this relationship is stable? If you've left the matrimonial home, I wouldn't think so. Due to ongoing interpersonal and communication tensions in the relationship, the parties have sought to discuss and resolve their differences. However, the petitioner is of the view that the marriage has broken down as a result of the fundamental, irreconcilable differences between the parties. The marriage has irretrievably broken down, and there is no prospect of reconciliation. Then she talks about here, they've entered into lease-to-own agreement to purchase this property, this 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. Now, it is interesting in that that's the only property that they have, and it's also something that is worthy of note, because if he is allowed to remain in the Cayman Islands, whatever this lease-to-own arrangement is, presumably because she is no longer alive, he is then able to continue to, if he can continue to make the payments, of course, he's able to continue to reside there and to maintain and to have that house. So in other words, pay attention, honey child, to what I'm telling you is he went from, look, this being a nail tech, I'm pretty sure not a pot to piss in, to all of a sudden having a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house in Bodden town. Y'all following me? I don't think I need to break it down too much about the obvious benefits to him if he's allowed to have PR and be able to stay in this country. Okay. He was a nail tech. Now he's a business owner and has a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house probably worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in Montana. As long as he can continue the payments, one day it could very well be his outright. All right. Somebody said he'd get her pension, etc., because he's the spouse. Lots of benefits coming his way, and this is why I want y'all to be very careful. Entering into these partnerships, marriages, civil partnerships, this is not to be taken lightly. Serious matters. And sometimes when you're sick, when you're ill, you might not even be thinking entirely straight. Somebody comes along and shows you a little bit of affection, and you think, oh yeah, this is love. This is like my life partner. This is, this person's going to ride or die with me. And then a year and a little bit afterwards, you're already filing for divorce. That means that this just wasn't, from the get-go, this wasn't anything of sufficient substance. Okay. Let's read in her words now, because her words are very telling. So she was having conversations with people, obviously demonstrating that the marriage is not a stable one. Hear what the person said to her. So the dirty crosses come back to see you? Yes, sir. No, not yet. This is what she says. No, not yet. He knows I don't want him here. Okay, and your sisters, you hear from them? I can't deal with the stress. And the person says, yeah, definitely no. They message me occasionally. I hear from the one that you met more though. And they go on to have that conversation for a bit. Next one. Person says, hey mom, this was September of 2022. So even before she filed the papers, hey mom, how's it going? How me here, Howard, I'll go meet you. The little side eye emoji. So this is when I think she was in Miami. Person says, hey, it's going okay. Started radiation today and I'm on day 4 of chemo. I'm okay. Today I feel a bit more nauseous than usual. He came up and left this morning and is back in Cayman. That was a quick trip. Okay. When him come and why, says the other person. I heard he sent out big broadcast messages. This is what the wife said, Trisha now, this is what she says. I heard he sent out big broadcast messages saying that he's flying up to be with his wife who's not doing well and asking for prayers. That what this person say, the expletive is wrong with him. He came Saturday evening. He claimed he came to support and be here for me. All right. Remember what I told y'all about people and their words? The words can say a lot. So he was playing that game where he was like, yes, honey child, I'm going to send out messages, make people believe now, everybody got to know my business. Oh, I'm sending out a broadcast message. I'm going to go see Trisha. I'm supporting her. I love her, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to do none of that, son. If you for real, you didn't have to do any of that. There are people who are very suspicious of that type of behavior. They say, oh, he was trying a little thing. Pretending. Because he knew this poor woman didn't have long to live. So he figured, oh, I can keep trying to fool her. By September, the relationship, probably way before then, had already broken down. He was already kicked out of the house. She goes on to say, he wants everybody to believe that he is this wonderful, supportive husband. Oh? You mean that he wasn't? That's exactly what the wife is saying. He wants everybody to believe that. And that obviously does not appear to be the case. From her perspective, she's like, he's not a wonderful, supportive husband. Okay. It's a sustained conversation because then you see this is October now. Yeah. She goes on to say in another conversation, he expected me to act like we are together, and he can't understand that I am in excruciating pain and not into no affectionate behavior. And he get vexed and says, everything is about you. Lord Jesus, can you please come over, Yesto? Someone who is dying and having, terminal cancer and on treatment, you gonna say to them, everything is about you? Man, he would have had testicular cancer because my foot would have reached his testicles. I would have kicked him in the nuts when he said that. I'm gonna be honest with you. What kind of man says that? What kind of selfish? Listen, what? Everything is about you? Your wife is sick with cancer? Then she goes on. He says, everything is about you, ... not me, you. And I was like, damn straight, I'm the one in pain, admitted to the hospital, undergoing chemo and fighting for my life. Damn straight, it's about me right now. My God, you met the woman in this condition. And then you gonna talk about, I guess he wanted to get physical with her. And she was like, yeah, I'm dealing with chemo right now. You have to keep your nuts in your pants. Not about that life. And he talking about it's everything is always about you. Say what? This dude, let me tell you something. When I read that bit right there, I said to myself, you see, this is why we don't need certain people in Cayman. Y'all try to be dismissive of these marriages of convenience. Oh, well, Sandy, she look like she against marriages of convenience. Of course I'm against marriages of convenience. Are y'all crazy? Yes, because they attract certain individuals. A person, keep this in mind, a person who can obtain status on their own don't need you for no marriage of convenience. Marriages of convenience tend to attract undesirable individuals. That's the only way that they can get to stay here. So in other words, they don't have no businesses. They can't purchase land to get any PR points. They don't have anything much to offer. They're here as leeches in our communities, in our society. And y'all talking about, why am I against that type of situation? Y'all crazy? I would be crazy if I wasn't. We have got to eradicate these types of situations. Sometimes the Caymanians are willing participants. In this case, whatever happened, I don't care how it started out, he must have been doing her nails and then she had to go to Jamaica for surgery and, the mom was nice to her. Listen, a lot of these people, they play the game. They are very, very, it's a game. They know how to get you. Oh, go meet my mommy. Right? Next thing you know, the family trying to burden you, begging you for this, begging you for that. Y'all need to wake up. I have seen it with my own two eyes. Trust and believe. Mm-hmm. The second you meet someone, the sister latching on to you. Oh, I'd like to come to Cayman and stay with you. Stay with who? I don't know you like that. Where the hell you come out from? There are telltale signs, and Caymanians need to wake up. There are people who are just looking for a step up in life. They're looking to use you. They see you as that, oh, you got a little job in Cayman, you're a Caymanian, so they can get status. They can start to bring the whole family. They got children. They got all these people who are going to benefit off of their position of having PR in this country. Good morning, caller. Hello? Uh-oh. What's going on with the phone lines today? Hello? Caller, I can't hear you. Can you try calling back? We heard it ring, right? I don't know what's going on. All right, try calling us back. Something weird. Maybe I'll try calling you. I don't know what's going on. Is Flo having issues with the phones? Does anybody know? Al Ray, where are you? Tell me what's going on. Let me try calling them. Maybe I can call them. Hello, caller? Hi, speak up a little bit for me. Okay, hold on. I hear you, but you're coming in very faint. So let me. Hello, caller?
Yes.
There
good
you
morning.
go. This phone did update last night, so I'm wondering if something weird's going on with it. Yes.
No, you stop blaming it on that poor innocent phone. You knew it was me, and you clicked me off. But
Oh
anyway.
my gosh, that's the second person this morning I couldn't hear. Okay, good morning. We can hear you now.
Good morning. Yes. First of all, what a beautiful top you're wearing.
Oh
there.
my gosh,
Love
thank
it.
you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Not
Thank you
gonna
so
ask
much.
where you got it from, because I probably can't afford it. But anyway.
Oh, it's
I
affordable. But I didn't get in
right.
Cayman, but it is affordable.
There. Okay. All righty then. Listen to me. First of all, you're notified. I didn't pop up for me this morning.
Oh
That
gosh.
happened this time.
Oh.
I had to go searching. And then I came across this story. And I just got add my 75 cents worth in this. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who these people are. I didn't catch a story from the beginning, but I'm getting the gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say that I heard one of the elected members saying the other day that they're going to be overhauling this immigration law.
Mm-hmm.
And they said something that I very much agree with. They say, but you Caymanians have to do your part too. You got to stop marrying these people. So this, and I'm not saying this in any way to take anything away from this person, the lady, because I really wouldn't want to be in her shoes. But anyway, just to say, I don't know whether they've divorced yet. I don't know whether this lady has passed away.
Yeah, so let me bring you up to speed since you missed that part of the show. She did pass away last year. Before she passed away, she filed for divorce. And she also filed a police report that he had been abusive towards her.
Oh, okay. So I guess does she have children?
Not with him.
But she has children.
Yes, she has a child outside.
Well, that's a good thing. So I guess they'll sort that out. No, but I just thought, Sandra, this would be a good time, not just the women, but to the men as well, to think about marrying these people. And you don't have to run to immigration when your honeymoon is over, applying for any papers for them, okay? If they married you for the right reason, then they're not in a hurry to go anywhere. And if they start asking you about it or pressuring you, that is a good indication of what their purpose is in the marriage. I don't know how many exit doors your house got or entrances, or whichever one they stepped into. When they start that, give them the choice to leave through whichever one they wish to, but make sure you get them out of your yard. Then you go to your lawyer, and if there's no assets, no children, or anything to squabble over, you don't even need a lawyer. Go to the courthouse or wherever they have these papers. You fill them out, put them in. In 2 weeks, you'll have your divorce.
Well, it's not 2 weeks, and this is the problem. This is the problem that I was saying.
2 weeks to respond.
Yes, well, and it can be dried out for years because he was contesting the divorce purposely, so because he understood time was against her.
Right. Well, I meant if he didn't,
yes, well, they're gonna contest, honey child, because they're not give up them benefits too easily.
Yeah. But let's hope that she has left family members behind that can now pick up this cause for her child or her children, depending on her child's age. Because the child could do it also if they're 18 plus. Or someone can be appointed guardian to that child, and a lawyer can still help them. And to you Caymanian people, and I say this to males and females, nothing wrong with you having your partner, regardless of where they have come from. But please understand what they have come here for, first and foremost. Okay? That's what you need to understand. And you know what?
And I mean, the bottom line is if they don't have anything to contribute and they're just taking from the relationship, you've got to ask your question. You have to ask yourself, why are you, not that relationships are transactional that way, but it's a transaction for them because they're taking.
Exactly.
And not giving anything back.
And that's my point. You need to figure out why they're here and why they want to be in a relationship with you. Remember, they're already coming from somewhere that's coming into people. So ask yourself, why aren't they in a relationship there? Why aren't they married there? Chances are they already are. Okay? And remember now, the opinion already comes from the baby mama. Not going nowhere. Baby mama is cemented. All right? This is a ring of fire. Make sure you don't step foot in it. You will get burned. And a valuable lesson to always remember, you men and you women, if you don't know the rules of the game, don't play. They have mastered it.
Thank you, caller.
You want to join them. You need
to
learn. All right?
Thank you very much.
And I want the name of the store that top came from.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. 936-2626. Someone says that we are attracting the bottom of the barrel, which I'm not going to argue with that. We're attracting others as well, but a lot of what we're attracting, for more reasons than one, is definitely the bottom of the barrel. All right. Let's have this additional comment here this morning. So this person says, have a look at this one. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program. No, there's something definitely wrong with this phone this morning. I don't know what is going on. This update broke the phone. Good morning, caller. Hello? Oh boy. Hello. Something fishy's going on. Might have to change out this. I mean, I don't know why the cable would stop working, but let me see. Let me try calling you back and see. Hold on, honey Joe. I don't even know how to call out on this phone because I never really use it. Oh. I can't even hear it ringing. I'm calling. I don't hear it ringing. Oh boy. Can somebody over at Samsung tell them that their latest update broke my phone? Hello? Hello? Anybody there? Can I roll back the update? I don't know if I can undo an update. Hold on. Let me put them on speakerphone. Does speakerphone work? Okay. I can't. I don't know what's going on. Should I try restarting the phone? Do y'all think that might help? Let me try. Give me a second here. I can't even remember how to restart this phone either, to be honest. These Samsung phones are a little bit confusing. How do we restart again? Which buttons do you hold down? Oh, Lord. I don't even know how to restart. Okay. Settings. Oh, boy. Nope, not that. Okay, let me see. I'm going to turn off Bluetooth, actually, because we don't need Bluetooth. Okay, device control. Is that going to let me reset it? Connections, connected device, battery, yada, yada, yada. About the phone. Software update. Can I uninstall the software update? Last update was yesterday at 11:37 p.m. I think that broke the phone. Feature update, location, blah, blah, blah. How about just power off? Where's that option? All right, let me see if I can, I don't know where the off button is on these Samsung phones. Hold on. This person says volume and button below volume at the same time. So volume up or down, does it matter? Oh, okay. So it's volume down and then the button below it. Okay, let's restart it. All right. Thank you, sir. Click to restart. Okay, let's restart it. My thing is, Sandy, any roach that flies into the Cayman Islands can suit us. Shaking my head. I hope that he goes back where he came from, Honey Chow. Howard needs to go home and do the nails, juice, or whatever he wants to do. He would get her pension, etc., because the spouse, her daughter, deserves all her mommy had left. And because that junkyard man she had is a crap hole, needs to go back a yard. Okay. That person did not mince their words. Not at all. What a mess. All right, we're restarting the phone. Let's see if that's any better. This person says, I'm surprised this took this long to get to you. Talk to so-and-so and so-and-so. They can give you a whole boatload about this mess. I also didn't get the impression her sister was crazy about him. Okay. Interesting. Fire bun to the spouse. He needs to go home. He didn't meet the basic threshold and they don't have any kids together. So yes, I mean, let's go back again to what the legislation has to say. I also agree that he does not meet this threshold, none at all. I mean, none at all. Yeah? I mean, we don't even get to sufficient financial means and all that other stuff. What other dependents he's going to be bringing. The key here is E, the marriage is stable. This was not by any stretch of the imagination a stable marriage. So sorry for you, sir. I don't know what you were thinking here. Now, let me also note this. Apparently, more than one source has confirmed, and I have no reason to believe that all these multiple sources would be getting this wrong, that there was some bit of domestic violence involved here. Wow. To me, this is the most egregious of things that could potentially happen. I don't know, again, what man in his right mind would hit her, but she did contact the police. A police report was filed. I don't have the date of that, but multiple sources have confirmed that there was some element. Listen, you put your hand on me once in a relationship, we're done. There is no explanation for it. There's no excuse for it. There's no reason that you can give me that you're going to be staying in my house. Now, I don't know if this was the reason why he got kicked out of the matrimonial home or not, but he was kicked out of the matrimonial home. Let's go back to the messages. The person says, he that walk crosses, narcissist. She responds and says, he lucky. We catch up twice when he was here, and I tell him I'm not dealing with the stress and ignorance. When she said, I heard he sent out a broadcast message saying he's flying up here with his wife, who is not doing well, and asking for prayers. Then she says later on, he came Sunday evening. He came to support and be here for me. So those are just a few of the messages that we have. But I can tell you that based on what we see here, there's overwhelming evidence, sir, as to why Jeremy declined your application. Rightfully so. Without a doubt. You're not deserving of PR based on this relationship. You better go find yourself somebody else. Hopefully nobody else is going to be that stupid, but there you go. So he has a business. He does natural juices, he claims, but even that, the woman said, is a fraud because he buys the Goya stuff and adds sugar and stuff. And like for the peanut punch, him use peanut butter and supplicin, not real stuff. He's a crooked so-and-so. Even the juice business she had registered for him, and he used her house to make and bottle them. You know, be careful where you're drinking, Shell, because these people be telling you one thing, and the person say he buying juice from somebody else and just pouring it in the bottle. Now, there is one thing that I found of particular interest about him. Again, this person, as well as numerous people, said how he hit her, and she had filed a police report on the grounds of that. Now, let me show y'all something here, because there is something about him that is very, very suspicious. Somebody answer me this riddle. Why does the man have so many social media accounts? We found at least 4. Why? It's very, very unusual for someone to have so many social media accounts. That normally means that they're up to something that's not quite right. I'm just saying. And he has his name spelled differently even here. So he himself sometimes spells it with an A. Other times he spells it with a C. Does that mean he doesn't even know how to spell his own name? I mean, which is it? What a hot mess. Do you think that if we look at any of these things here, that we would see that he is a married man? You know, where you can update your little information? I mean, not a 1. Suspicious. Just adds a different element to the situation. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, what do y'all think? 936-2626. Let's see if the restart helped with the phones. Let me see if I can call this person back. Oh, there we go. I can hear somebody now. Take that. When in doubt, restart.
Hello.
Hi, good morning. I can hear you now, honey chair.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I'm so sorry to hear of the conversation this morning. It is very heartbroken.
Yes.
And heartbroken beyond. It is so sad.
Very sad.
Very sad. Yeah, and I do believe the Caymanians as a whole, particularly we women, need to open up. We need to speak out. We need to stand up. But I do admire her for her courage.
Yes.
For the stand that she took through her illnesses. And that's what I will say at this moment.
Thank you, my
And hopefully I don't have to say anything more. But I do admire her courage. But I will encourage her family to stand behind her.
Yes. Well, I think that and you know, she spoke volumes before her death.
But this is what I know. But she needs volumes behind her now. In a certain aspect, she does still need those same volumes to speak out. Because don't you worry, the majority of those people know how to slide under the carpet. They know how to do that well. You know, I mean, I'm married to, I guess, one of the same, but mine are fairly stable. And should the day it becomes not stable, trust me, I have to do.
Yes.
So we need to stand up. And like I said, at this time, she still needs her support behind her to see that her children get what they're entitled to. So I will encourage everybody to stand behind her.
Yeah.
And may God bless her soul. And I hope she now rests comfortable and knowing that there are people here that still supported her and knows what she suffered. I mean, we just saw one the other day where 3 people got killed in an accident, and we heard the scandal that was about that. You know, but if we don't make immigration know or CBS know what's going on in our marriage, we can't expect miracles to happen with them. When they got to hear it off the street or hear it through other sources.
Right.
I mean, everybody loses a little interest. So if we want them to support us, we have to let them know what's going on.
Yes.
You know, so. But like I said, it is heartbroken, and that was mainly what I called.
Thank you so much.
Is to say that, you know, I feel their pain, but at this time, they need to stand up, be still behind her to see that her children get what they deserve.
Her daughter, yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So God bless you all.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And bless us as a country.
Yes, 93626. Thank you. Hopefully the restart fixed the issue. 9362626. Kasia says, what a mess Cayman is in. Look like we're in business now. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy.
Morning, dear. How are you?
Hope you had a great weekend and all as well.
Yes, sir.
Well, I won't deter or derail the argument for a minute. I got one elephant in my aquarium. All right. Over the weekend, I saw on your CMR, I don't know if it's you posted or whoever posted, but it's an actual fact. Okay. When are we going to stop letting people come in here and doing what they feel like without nothing taking place to say reprimand them? When I saw your post, when I saw your post about these people, I mean, this is so draconian. I don't know how to explain it. When I see these people putting these posters,
we're gonna get to that
in the road in front of a sidewalk.
Hang tight, caller. We're gonna get to that. Let me just finish. Let me just wrap up.
The
We're
elephant's
coming.
killing me. I just want you to catch that for me, please.
Yes, we coming.
All right.
All right, coming. All right, yes, that is another thorn in my side this morning. All right, let's try to wrap this one up. Kasia says, what a mess we're in. It seems to be the case that everyone has a right to remain here. We're taking in too many undesirable people, giving them status for them to only join the NAU line. Shamar, yes, he cleaned up well after he got married. Symphonies of the Sea says, whatless people on this island come and torment people's lives and more than likely a menace to society and want to continue to hell with that Cayman, not for him. Cassius also says it seems that the laws are only absolute for Caymanians. Everyone else can challenge them and win. Destiny Child seems to know him. She says, he get what he deserve. He too teeth. Oh. Magdalene says you should let WRC know that with evidence. Social media doesn't have to be, the name doesn't have to be correctly spelled. Well, yeah, I mean, he seems to misspell his own name, but I have confirmation that his ID has it spelled with an O. So we can rest assured that that should be the correct name. I don't know what the confusion is with this man in the name. Darlene says, dead man can't tell tales. Most likely a person knows her story. These people think they can and fool everyone with their stinking connings. Well, apparently dead people can talk now because we got messages. We got things like text messages, WhatsApp messages, voice notes, all this kind of stuff that now speaks volumes. Those were her words. That wasn't anybody else's words. Darlene says, sounds like he's a real nasty, pretty boy looking Caymanian papers. If she filed for divorce, it tells you right away she had enough, tired, and fed up. Henry, good morning. Henry says, poor Cayman played with so many cursed cannibalism demons, literally dragging Cayman Islands through the coals. Lilith says they have their motives and they have their Jamaican women at all times, only speaking from experience. And what I said stands forever. What a hot mess. I could tell y'all be putting up with some foolishness around the place. Let me just restart the WhatsApp so I can check those messages. Lilith says, hello, he never did. It's more than obvious. Shaka Zulu says, Auntie, does the law allow for an annulment of the marriage when the time of marriage is less than 12 months, just asking for a friend. There are very specific things in the marriage law that you can claim for annulment. One of them being that the marriage was never consummated. So if it was never consummated, in other words, there was no joke going on, you can get your divorce. But annulments, or what an annulment does, it puts you in a position where it's as though the marriage never existed. Doesn't account, it's not a strike against you at all. Cassius says, let's face it, we all know he ain't going nowhere. It doesn't matter what evidence there is to the contrary, he'll be granted the right to stay, all a part of the plan. Well, let's see what the courts do. Because now it's up to the Attorney General's office, who represents the government when they're sued. They should have all this evidence. And listen, this is what I'm going to say. If you were Trisha's friend, and a lot of you were, and you have evidence to demonstrate that this marriage was not stable in any way, shape, or form, we've shown you a couple here today, you need to send that to the AG's office so they can put their evidence together. Because this is going to come down to whether or not the decision in law was a reasonable one. And based on these facts of it being an unstable marriage, I would dare say it was beyond reasonable. It was definitely reasonable, but that's just my opinion. Ms. Darlene said, old stinking John Crow, put him on the first flight out of the Cayman Islands or put him on a boat out of here. Lord Jesus. Magdalene says some other Caymanian idiot will pick him up. Boy, we got some, that's for sure. Lilith says, even when you're heartbroken, you can be the most vulnerable. Brenda says, hopefully immigration will be waiting for him outside the courthouse and escort him to the airport. Morning Symphony of the Reef. Who feels it, knows it, says Lilith. All right. Okay. Yep. Marshall says they need to send his backside straight to Jamaica on a one-way ticket and never to come back to Cayman. Nasty John Crow. Catalina says she is fooled too to listen to him to do her both. Her butt and her breast. Yes, well, obviously, I don't think she did either one of those. Damien says he's a selfish, controlling narcissist. Yeah, man, that was a low blow for him to say that to her. Why is it always about you? Oh, wow, really? I'm only on death's door. No, but let's make it about you and what you want. What a mess. Live Happy says the story has the potential to become a movie. Get Frankie Flowers, the Caymanian producer, on it. Call it The Leech in Her Bed. That's a good title, actually. Time for it to be stamped out, says Magdalene. As I said, the director, chief officer, judicial, I trust that they can sleep at night, not saying that the Caymanian should not bear some of the blame. The laws need to change. Oh my gosh, what a mess. Frank, good morning. Says the wrong people are running immigration, or WRC. Lord have mercy. Okay. Shakazula says, Auntie, everything that you're saying is on point. Caymanians need to wake up to understand how they're being ridden like a donkey when it comes to PR and other privileges. Cayman will be totally ruined and no different than the rest of the failed states in the Caribbean, saturated with crime and void of morality, says Cassius. Ay. All right. Waking up, the Cayman Islands says, what is the big deal about Caymanian status for Jamaicans? Why are Jamaicans so fixated on getting Caymanian citizenship? When one gets status, do they keep the Jamaican passport? Can status be revoked? Well, at waking up, it confers certain benefits, right? So you have the right to work without a work permit. A lot of them are getting rolled over, like they reach their term limit. So he was at 7 years when he met her. That's important to keep in the back of your minds. So there are a lot of benefits for people to be able to become Caymanian. All right, let's move on. Okay, so it looks like the phone is okay now after the restart. So listen, the other very controversial thing that happened over the weekend, and I think that it's worth talking about here, and then we're going to talk about those things as well that the last caller just brought up. There's a video that was in circulation of an influencer out of the States getting, she was talking about the fact that she got her honeymoon, her bachelorette party paid for. So let me share this with you, and then I'm going to explain a little bit of what's going on here. So for those of you who hadn't seen it, here we go.
Trip, bachelorette party.
No freaking way. You're kidding me. In no world imagined like this would have happened for us. And so I just wanted to thank you guys so much for making this possible. It's an honor. It genuinely is such an honor. And I hope I do you guys justice.
You already are. Just meeting you is incredible.
Well, we're just glad that we came across your video and that you shot your shot, you know. We're glad that we're making this happen.
The agreement will be coming over. Tourism board is a government entity, so that'll be coming your way.
Amazing.
Perfect. And congrats, by the way, Pat.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. We'll talk soon.
Bye, guys.
What did we get ourselves into?
Guys. So we just got off a call with a whole government. So remember I made a silly little video about our bachelor and bachelorette party? Turns out the Grand Cayman Islands is sponsoring our bachelor and bachelorette party.
We might have stumbled upon creating the greatest bachelor and bachelorette party of all time. Like, what the hell?
What the fuck? Actually sweating. See you guys in the Cayman Islands? Okay, it's happening, guys. I think this should be your sign to always shoot your shot, because genuinely, you never know what could happen. I think I might have the biggest life update to ever give you guys. I actually think I'm still in disbelief. I just got off the phone with a whole government. I don't even know how to say this. We're in the middle of planning a wedding, bachelorette, and like all the things. Speaking of our bachelorette, I have some news. The Cayman Islands is officially sponsoring our bachelorette party. Guys, now you might be like, Mei, how did this happen? Genuinely, I have no idea. I don't know what real life is anymore. So let me back up a little bit. I guess this is a story time of how everything happened. Buckle up, because this is actually insane. So a few months ago, I posted a silly little TikTok. Like, I'm talking 9 seconds. So my main goal was to get my favorite brands to spoil my girls. I have been lucky enough to experience these once-in-a-lifetime brand trips, and there's nothing that I love more than sharing these experiences with the people that I love. So I wanted to make this trip feel like a dream brand trip. This video was really just me throwing things out into the air. I genuinely was not expecting anything at all, but to my surprise, some brands that I never even allowed myself to dream of working with, they were commenting. Not only that, this video managed to get so much attention that I was literally starting to get packages delivered to my front door. Guys, this is a sneak peek of all the brands that have sent goodies for our bachelorette party. I'm looking at this room in disbelief. It's insane. It's crazy. The fact that all my girls are going to be spoiled with all of these goodies is actually insane. So 3 days later, I get an email from an entire government. This is the Cayman Islands Tourism Board government email. As you guys can imagine, I am like, holy shit. I get an email that says, "Hi Mei, I represent the Cayman Islands Tourism Board. We saw your video."
All right. She goes on and on and on and on. Couple things here. Okay. Now, let me just put this to bed as quickly as I can. All right. It's unfortunate that they couldn't at least guide her to get a couple things right. Like, we're not the Grand Cayman Islands. We're just the Cayman Islands. You know, I'm going to give tourism some leeway here, because these types of deals happen actually all the time. They're very, very common. So she's known as an influencer. I had to go look her up. I've never heard of her before, but I mean, there's tons of influence out there. Now, her name is Mia Monster, whatever that is. They call her Mimi, I guess, for short. And she does have they call her Mimi. She does have 3.4 million followers. Listen, I mean, this is the world that we live in now, where influencers, everybody from, that's the one hotel in West Bay Road, that's how they get so many of their positive reviews written all over Forbes magazine and whatever. What's it called again? The one that doesn't know how to treat staff. Where Tilly's is, whatever that one's called. They do a lot of influencers. So when they brought down Justin Bieber and his wife, basically they comped their stay. They probably even paid for their ticket to be able to come here, because the value that they get, the marketing value that they get out of that is priceless. If Palm Heights, thank you, Leroy. if she has 3.4 million people and the individual videos that she's talked about with Cayman, right? There's one here. I think this is them. Yes, I think this is one of them. Got like 3.4. Well, this one got 4.5 million views. Another one got 1.3. One had over 500,000. So, you know, at the end of the day, is this one from Cayman? I don't even know. Oh, that was the bridal shower. Okay. Listen, this is nothing new. You guys might remember, you know who did it? Who had everybody pay for their entire wedding? Oh, what was that African American lady? She used to be in one of those shows like The Views or whatever. She'd had gastric surgery, lost a lot of weight, married that guy who was super handsome, but I don't even think he was straight. Help me out here. Jones, something Jones? What the heck was her name again? Oh Lord, help me out here. She lost a lot of weight, looked fabulous for her wedding. The marriage didn't last for long because, like I said, I think the guy was actually gay, but whatever. She Star Jones. Thank you, Miss Brenda. Ding, ding, ding. Miss Brenda won $1 million. There we go. Star Jones. Star Jones was famous for doing this. She didn't pay for anything for her wedding. I mean, the wedding was over the top. Everything was comped. She had brands. Photography was thrown in because, oh, you're going to mention the photographer. You know, the dress was by Vera Wong or whatever. Just mention that it's Vera. Every single thing that she did for the wedding was pretty much comped by other people. There was a whole thing around this, how she got so much stuff for that wedding worth millions of dollars. And it happens. People want you to mention them because you're going to get other people going, oh, wow, where's the Grand Cayman Islands? No such place. But they're going to still find it after they hit the little Google buttons, and they're going to show up on our shores. So, you know, I understand why they did it. None of us have ever heard this influencer, but guess what? All of us over the weekend saw that video because the video started to trend. And that's the whole point of engaging influencers in order to help you promote your brand. Now, in this day and age, where you young folks are living your best TikTok life, your best YouTube life, you guys are all over the place. You're all about that kind of thing. Wouldn't it make sense, in fact, that you would use an influencer? It works. There's no doubt that when they stick up something on Instagram, they stick up something on TikTok, you're like, oh my God, she just had, well, I never thought about having my bachelorette party in the Cayman Islands. Let's do it. These things happen as a matter of regularity, I'm going to say, all the time. There's nothing unusual about it. And there's nothing unusual about organizations, governments, whatever. Now, she's a little bit confused. So when she's like, a whole government contacted me, no, honey child. You know, listen, a lot of influencers are not intellectually bright. I mean, let's just say what it is, right? I don't know what her claim to fame is. I briefly looked at her TikTok. They look like they just do silly stuff, you know, putting on a little bit of makeup and whatever. So she does like, maybe looks like she does makeup tutorials as she talks, because there's a lot of them doing that, showing her lifestyle, whatever. I mean, whatever. I don't know who the hell she is. And I don't know much about her journey. You know, we see her here with the fiance. Okay, they're getting married. You saw all the packages that she showed in the video. Like, all these people have sent me stuff. That's because all of them are simply looking for her to mention their products in one of her videos. Because then your product can go viral as a result of her reach. They all do it. One of her videos, where she thought she was pregnant, has 5.9 million views. The Kardashians, you're not getting them to post anything on their social media page without handing them a check for $1 million. That is how people actually make their money in this day and age. So there are people who are famous for being an influencer because they simply have enough people who follow them, right? Khloe Kardashian, Kendall, all of them make a substantial amount of money from products that they peddle, sometimes not entirely, honest about the products and so on. But at the end of the day, that's the business that they're in. That's the new form of marketing. So we reached out to DOT and we inquired about the arrangement and kind of, what the full details and the source was. And they sent us some additional information on this because I was curious to know how often they work with influencers and stuff. So they said that they've actually been working with influencers for many years and have recently expanded their program as more and more travelers are using social media networks as inspiration for travel planning. Working with influencers allows us to keep the Cayman Islands top of mind for travelers. Listen, they get a budget, right? That they have to spend on marketing. I don't know exactly how much their marketing budget is, but they have an overseas agency in the United States. I don't know if this one's in New York or where they're at. It could be New York, where they have one in the UK as well. So this one focuses on the North American market, right? And so if they keep track of like who's the top influencers and who's, who can we utilize and partner with. And so this seems to be one of those situations. So I was curious to know, what do they get? Because this is a question. So y'all were like, oh yeah, she getting all this, but we have Caymanian starving. Let me be very, very clear. You're going to have Caymanian starving no matter what, to be clear. That does not mean that you start marketing the Cayman Islands, because once you start marketing the Cayman Islands and all of a sudden those tourism numbers start to fall, then y'all will really be complaining. Like, oh, we don't even get tourists anymore. Okay, then you gotta decide how you want it. If we're gonna rely on tourism, and there's a big debate there about whether we should or we shouldn't, but if you're going to rely on tourism, you have to invest money in marketing your product. You have to market the Cayman Islands. People are not gonna necessarily just know about it. And there's a lot of competitors in the space of tropical islands. You feel like you've been to one, you've been to all. So what makes Cayman desirable? So the sponsorship package includes airfare and hotel, luxury accommodations at Black Urchin, Bodden Town. Sorry. They say allowing us to highlight the accommodation offerings off of 7 Mile Beach. So they're trying to encourage people to go somewhere else. The Cayman Islands is known as the culinary capital of the Caribbean. So they're showcasing our culinary bona fides via an authentic dining experience with a Caymanian chef and a mixology class highlighting our local rums. They round out the experience with a boat cruise to Stingray City, highlighting some of our more popular destinations. Anywho, that's what it is. All right. So listen, I'm not mad about it. I think that we do have a lot of important things that we could be talking about. Understanding what this was important because I was a little bit confused because when she said a whole government, I was like, what does that mean? Then when I heard the voices, none of those people, on the call, obviously were Caymanians. So I'm like, which government, who's she talking about? At first, I actually thought it was CETA, the Cayman Islands, Tourism Association that had given her this, package. And then I reached out to them. They're like, nope, ain't got nothing to do with us. We don't know anything about it. It is, I was like, okay. Went back to DOT. She kind of had the names a little bit confused. So when she was for example, the whole government tourism board, I was like, what tourism board is she talking about?
Bachelorette party.
I was a little bit confused. So they saw her post up wanting to do stuff for her wedding. Sounds like they reached out to her. And, she has now gotten millions of views as a result of this. And like I said, at the end of the day, even people here in Cayman are being impacted by this in the sense that you all saw it. Because, now they're going to say, well, heck, this is actually very impactful because y'all were losing your mind. Look at how many times I received the video. How many times did it circulated? That's how the new social media marketing works. Even me, when I go places, now I not got no millions of followers, to be clear. But within the Cayman context, a lot of people might know who I am. I show up to the place. The first thing they want is like, oh my God, Sandy, can we take a selfie? Can you mention us? Can you talk about us? I'm a little bit, let me put it this way. I ain't making no coins off of that. I'm like, really? Y'all better try and pay me some money because that is how you earn money as an influencer. Let me give a big shout out. They didn't ask for it and they're certainly not paying for it. Can I give a big shout out to the Marriott this weekend? Ended up going there for Father's Day brunch. Very last minute. I'll tell you all about the confusion later, but we thought we were going somewhere else for brunch. And we showed up. I'm like, oh, can you accommodate us? They were like, ooh, girl, for you, we'll make a table. I was like, oh, thank you so much. I hadn't been there in years. Fabulous brunch. Y'all need to go, honey child. Very good. Great service. I even saw Sir Alden there. Celebrating Father's Day. All right, let's move on. Miss Brenda, Miss Joy Sand says, I know some foreigners that loves us. You don't have to stay here to be a thorn in our side if you don't like us. Yeah, Star Jones, that's who I was thinking of. Free marketing, well, it ain't free. We pay for it in the sense that we're sponsoring a trip. So it's a quid pro quo, right? They do something for us. They talk about us in their videos. Listen, she's going to be talking about this in God knows how many of her videos. Oh my God, bachelor party in the Cayman Islands. Oh my God, we had a fabulous time. Yeah. Beach scenes of her and her friends, the girlfriends drinking a little something at the local bars. Listen, we'll get a lot of mileage out of it. I'm sure it is going to be worth the spend. The mileage and her talking and going on and on about it will get people going, oh, well, I need to go to the Cayman Islands too. That's how it works. Garrett says complaining is a national sport. Brenda says, honestly, do we really get tourists here anymore? Yes, we do, by the millions every single year. What a mess. Leroy, we do mainly on business laundering money. No, we don't. And so to counter, by the way, that type of misinformation that you'll see in TV shows and whatever, it's worth promoting other stuff, right? Remember when the housewives came here to film? I think it was the Housewives of Atlanta. They came to film a show. Even the other day when we had our own little, what's it called? Cayman Paradise, whatever. That type of marketing, you almost can't pay for. To have a reality show filmed and based in the Cayman Islands, as stupid as it might be, as stupid as the characters and their contrived, made up stories and whatever, still, people are like, oh my God, that botanical garden looks so nice with those little flowers that you can squeeze and get water out of. I want to go experience that. I must say, the optics of the video and that reality show depicting Cayman looked really good. Every shot, I was like, that's mango tree? Really? Mango tree look that good? They must have power washed the whole place. All right. Kasia says this is smart marketing. The Greek tourism board did the same thing with the Kardashians, gave that country a whole new market. Very smart. It's the world that we live in, folks. I'm telling you, influencers are ruling the... Listen, if I had an ideal job other than what I'm doing, I would be an influencer. Like for real. Sitting down eating bonbons and chocolates and talking about it and getting paid to do that. Yes, honey child. Why not? All right. Much ado about nothing. Trust and believe me. Let's move on. Okay, honey child. The couple minutes that we have left in the program. Oh my God, I got to tell y'all about this situation. A couple months ago, I brought this up with the NRA about these cones on West Bay Road. Every single time We drive in West Bay Road. Marlon is complaining about this. He's like, why are these cones here? You mean to tell me that people can't pull off? It is a pain in his rear end. He has driven me crazy with his complaints. I pass it on to NRA. They actually said that they were allowing them to do it temporarily, but it was never meant to be a permanent situation. Well, NRA, y'all need to wake up, because these people have not only put the regular cones there as a permanent situation, they have now placed metal cones there. These people have lost their minds. Look at this one, right in front of the Avalon. They went from the kind of flexible plastic foamy looking ones to installing metal poles to prevent you from parking what is properly, I think, supposed to be a bicycle lane. And, you know, but some people park there to be able to go to access beach, access points and whatever. They blocked it. This should have never, ever been allowed to begin with. Now NRA has to get on them because, of course, they didn't ask for permission for these permanent cones. And they have to make them have them removed. Let me tell you something. NRA, listen to me carefully. Have all of them removed. Metal, plastic, I don't care. Whatever temporary permission you gave them should now be removed. Because the biggest issue here is if you have an emergency situation and you need to be able to pull off of the side of the road, ambulance come in and you need to make way, you cannot do so. Right? Send them an enforcement notice and tell them to take these down. Everybody else should have to take them down as well. This is ridiculous. But like you say, you give some people an inch, they got to take the whole mile, the whole kit and caboodle. It's ridiculous. We need to put a stop to it. Somebody said this back in March. Anyone knows what's going on with Cemetery Road? Oh, that's another question. Hold on. Let me see the other one with the cones. So I'm trying to find the exact. Anyway, when I initially inquired about it, might have even been last year, I was told that the cones were there on a temporary basis. Well, you know, time to get rid of them. Time for that temporary situation to resolve itself. All right. This is back in 2022. Actually, I asked about it. Just checking my phone messages here. And back then, getting a complaint about cones in front of the Ritz-Carlton and some roads blocked by yellow cones. Is this the Ritz or NRA? This is March of 2022, over 2 years ago. I inquired about it. The response was the Ritz has placed the cones. Cars are parking in the bicycle lanes. So then you block it completely? Like, what the hell? We need to make the public aware that these lanes by the Ritz are in fact bicycle lanes and not parking lanes. You can do that in other ways other than a cone, like you put the little bicycle symbol on it. They need to be striped, or at least signed as bike lanes. I'll ask on the work managers to see how soon we can address this. 2 years ago. 2 years ago. In fact, I even had a video here. Look at me having evidence. Look at that, honey child. Radio Land, I think you guys are disconnected already. Have a beautiful day. I even had a video back then that I sent them, but the problem is they keep getting bolder and bolder and bolder and bolder. So what you do now is you put an end to the boldness. Okay, honey child? Yes, let me show y'all the little video here that I sent back in 2022 to NRA saying, what the hell is this? And they were supposed to paint them with bicycle lines all now. Come on now, honey child. It don't take that long to make something into a bicycle lane. Right? This is where when you fall down on the job, we have some questions about what's going on here. See, they started out like this, and then they put the yellow ones that you can't even move. And now they're putting up the metal ones. What next? What's going to be the next step? on now. Let it out. Mark them as bicycle lanes. And anybody who parks there, you give them a ticket. That is what the popo is for. Okay? That's why they have a traffic division of the popo. You stand there for one day tickling people, and they'll get the gist of it real fast. Jacinta says they don't want us using our own beaches. You can imagine. Are there laws for obstruction of traffic or erecting a structure on government property? Fine them. Well, they need to make them take it down and fine them and tell them don't do it again. So it runs now all the way down Westbury Road. Yes, all the condos on Westbury Road are doing it. What they say, monkey see, monkey do. Follow fashion. What a hot mess. All right, folks. Miss Joy Sand says most people that come here and do as they like and they can't, so it's where they come from. We need them to respect us, and we will do the same. What next, says Damien? Let a Caymanian started vending on the road. Charge the rasclot bumbleclot for being so feisty, says Darlene. Symphony of the Reef says they soon extend a wall to the road, just watch and see, and hope a bridge like at Caymana Bay don't go up completely blocking the beaches. Listen, y'all want beachfront property? There's a certain price that comes with it, to be quite honest, including locals having access to beachfront. It is what it is. You don't own the beach. You went up to the high water mark or whatever. All right. NRA, do your thing. I'm looking forward to having it removed, and I'm going to be checking on them by next week. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
The problem is with them parking corner. It just land department need to stop approving for a small piece of land. They build a big old hotel and no have enough parking space, ma'am. It's the plan department need to blame for that, ma'am.
Yes. All right. Somebody says, aren't they there because the tenants can't see to pull onto the main road when vehicles are parked there, obstructing their vision? I don't know what logic they used. But anywho, that's all she wrote, honey child. This person said U.S. creative agencies Gray and Pratel have been awarded contracts totaling $12.3 million. Instead of giving this to local creators, they're giving it to foreigners. Disgusting attitude by Rosa Harris, if you ask me. When did they announce this locally? No single creator knew of this public contract. Nobody. Well, it's not really a contract. It's like a one-off promotion. And I know anything certain beyond a certain amount would have to probably go out to tender. It probably never even met that threshold. This person said they should be required to use local creators. It's not about a creator. So let me be very, very clear here. This is about influencers. And if the woman has $3.4 million, I would like for you, 3.4 million followers, you need to show me what local, influencers have that type of reach internationally. Listen to me carefully. As someone who just said to you, a lot of places I go, people want me to mention their brands. People want me to talk about their products on my show because they're like, oh my God, thousands of people are going to see it. Their market is Cayman. So it makes sense for me to talk about those things. It's like Cayman Airways. If Cayman Airways called me right now and said, Sandy, let's do a trip with you to go to New York. We're going to sponsor you a trip, put you up in a hotel, and we want you to promote Cayman Airways route to New York. That's an example of how it could easily be done. I'm all up for it. Cayman Airways, call me, link me, right? That's because the intended market, the audience is here to go from New York over there. So they should have used me for a Bermuda trip. They might have had a few more people. Oh, Barbados. Trying to get the right country. They might have had a few more of y'all going. So if you want to, target people in Cayman, local creators and influencers are actually two different things, by the way. Just because you're a creator doesn't mean that you're an influencer. Trust and believe me. I'm in the world of studying and knowing a little bit about this. Take it from Auntie now. That's a different situation. They're trying to get people to come over. Yes, so they need somebody like little Mimi, whatever the heck her name is, to attract like and similar-minded people. The 3.4 million people that follow her, now all of them know and have heard about the Cayman Islands. I'm just saying, that's how it works. There's logic to marketing, social media marketing. Y'all need to borrow one of my textbooks. Let me see if I still have it up here, honey child. It's called Guerrilla Style Marketing. Y'all need to learn a thing or two. You don't just fall out of bed in the morning and do certain things. There is a logic to it. Where's my guerrilla marketing textbook? I can't even find it. But there is a logic to these things. Okay. Hori says kaboom for the tourism board advertisement. Kaboom! I am going to say go on through Rosa Park and DOT. Rosa, hear me about Rosa Park. Rosa Harris. Okay. Now, again, other companies are sitting here listening to Auntie talk this morning. You all can start to use influencers, and some of them already have. They get it. Look at Waffle Monkeys. Every time I talk about Waffle Monkeys, y'all are there. Now, I just happen to have really, they weren't paying me to talk about their, what was it? Thanksgiving combination. Oh my God. That was so scrumptious. Can we add it to the menu regularly? I could go for some of that now. Can y'all make me some on Friday? It was so good. Every once in a while, you can make it for me. It doesn't have to be Thanksgiving. I like turkey outside of Thanksgiving. Oh my God, that was like the best. Whenever I talk about it, you're like, oh my God, we need to go check it out. Sandy's going on and on about this food. So a lot of restaurants do it. They want me to sit here and can you drink my coffee in the morning with my mug? I don't drink coffee, but I'm just saying. Right? So there are ways to do it. Sandy starts talking about her donuts in the morning. Everybody's going to want a donut. I've seen people working with everything 3, 4, 5. They've done stuff for restaurants and stuff. So yes, I mean, it does happen locally, but none of y'all got 3.4 million followers. I'm just saying that's going to bring people in. Shaka Zulu is asking about liability. What kind of liability? No, hashtag no BS lawsuits. I don't think there's any additional liability than anything else. I mean, it's not like they're bringing them here and having them in their care. And I mean, they're coming here as a visitor. So, buyer beware, I guess. Miss Brenda says there's marketing and there's sensible marketing. All right. That's it, folks. Tomorrow morning, we'll be here again. Tune into the program. Please have yourselves a beautiful day. Still rain. What can I say about this weather? Oh my God, it's next level ridiculous. I'm over it now. I need some sunshine back in my life. Dear Mr. Sunshine, my solar panels need you because boy, when I get that next bill, I'm going to be cringing. Oh God, I can feel another headache coming on. All right, that's all she wrote. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Philip. He says, nothing new. DOT and other tourism boards around the Caribbean have been doing this for some years. When I was in the business, we brought travel agents from all over the world to promote the airline and tourism. Yes. They're actually travel agency organizations that travel as groups, and that's what they do. They get to see the product firsthand, and then they can advise their clients like, oh, I want to go someplace tropical. What would you recommend? Well, definitely go to the Cayman Islands because, girl, I just went there and had a fabulous vacation. And look at all these beautiful places that I went and ate. And did you know I had me some curry chicken, honey child? You can get your curry chicken on too. Makes sense. All right. Y'all have a beautiful day. Yes, pay attention to the weather. Lavana, we're wishing you a successful day tomorrow. Lavana says it does work for sure. When you mention Lavana's kitchen, the food sounds out even quicker. Look at that. Look at that, honey child. What's on the menu today? All right, Lavana, we were praying for you tomorrow that you have successful surgery. Rest up, take your time, and we'll be back tomorrow morning. Y'all, please have a blessed day.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.